Don't worry, I'm fine. I know yesterday I said that we can't interrupt that tune, but you know, I want to get cracking. I want to get cracking with the stream. You know, I'm in. We're live. It's happening. What's up? How's it going? It's fucking Thursday. Does it feel like Thursday to me? I don't know why. It's probably because I missed an entire day on Tuesday. I was just playing fucking RimWorld. I just played RimWorld for like fucking 8 hours or maybe even more, chat. Probably like 10 hours actually, thinking about it. Fucking nuts. Completely insane behavior, but that is what comes with being insane. So, there you go. Finally Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. Yep. All the Monday to Friday peeps. Everyone is hyped. I'm here. Hello, how's it going? As per usual, we got some awesome people in the chat. We got Trans Salamander, my new bestie. How is it going? I hope you're having a great time. Awesomeo, hello. We got Nada. We got One Who Reads. Hello. We got PBP. How is it going, everyone? So Trans Salamander says in the chat, I'm still in the UK, but I love it. Is that planned? I can't remember how long you said you were going to be here for, but I know that your plans were like changing here and there and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you're having a great time. But I love it. Good. Glad you're having a good time still. And yeah, One Who Reads says that she got like the themes, the content warning of the stream again. Which is pretty good because you know, if you're getting that means that you're prepared. But it's a bit cringe if you're getting it all the time. But I think it's probably to do with your cookies. If you've refreshed your cookies, possibly, maybe something to do with plugins or something like that. I don't know. But PBP is saying that she had that too. So there you go. That's what it is. I hope everybody enjoyed the stream yesterday. If you were here for the stream yesterday, I thought it was a pretty good one. I thought we had a pretty good stream yesterday. I was really enjoying that. I uploaded the VOD from Monday, from the part 2 of that Plandemic documentary that we watched, where we were debunking it and just laughing at it, really. And that seems to be doing pretty good. That seems to be like, you know, the VOD channel doesn't get like a stupid amount of views like my regular channel does, but 23 views in 15 hours is pretty good. That's pretty good. So I think it's either annoying all the right people or lots of people just wanting to watch that stream again. So maybe we'll do some more debunking streams. Maybe I'll find some more conspiracy theory stuff to debunk. That'll be a good bit of content. Take us through to fall. Take us through to autumn. Do you know what I mean? Could probably like stretch out a month, you know? Milk that as much as I possibly can. We'll see. Hey, Cortadov, how's it going? Welcome in. It's good to see you today. It was good to see you yesterday. How are you doing? Trans Salamander says she's loving it. Buzzing. Great news. Finally Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. It's also, tomorrow is sort of a special day for me, but I don't do anything special. Okay, cryptic, but that's entirely up to you. What did I do today? Well, thanks for asking, chat. What I did today. I'm sorry. There's no need for me to be passive aggressive like that. But today, what have I been up to? My friend Pip came round because it's her birthday. It was great to see her. I've not seen her in a long time. And we basically just caught up. There's a lot of stuff to catch up. Honestly, not seen her in almost 2 years. We've been chatting, just chatting on TikTok and Instagram and all that nonsense. But, when you just don't see someone for so long and it's really bad. But we've been trying to, meet up and plans just fall apart and all that stuff. You know what happens. Life gets in the way and all that bollocks. But yeah, really interesting because she's going to be moving out to the US because she's getting married to her partner over there, and that's really cool. It's really cute. They have a really sweet relationship. He's a really nice guy, so that's really cool. Really cool. So yeah, big catch-up day today with her, telling her about all the stuff that I've been doing over the last couple of years, all that stuff. So yeah, very interesting. Kotadov says fucking dead, but I've gotten a lot of stuff done during recent months. Good to hear it. How's everyone else's day going? How's everyone else? Hope everyone else is having a good afternoon, day, whatever time it is in whatever part of the world you're in. What else? I don't really look. You know, I just went to bed after the stream last night. That's all it was, really. I just went to bed. I think I was watching a little bit of stuff. Yeah, I actually watched something. So I've started watching this guy, and I've seen him on other people's streams. Not like guesting or anything like that, but you know, people reacting to his videos. And it's this like Brooklyn, New York kind of guy that's like, he's kind of like a botanist kind of guy. I don't know if anyone's seen his content, but he's always like, he knows fucking everything about plants. But he's like always saying they're like Latin names and stuff like that in like the fucking Brooklyn accent, and it's so funny. He's just there going, hey, look at that, it's one of these like Plantagenaceae, this Asianaceae genus. What a beautiful plant, what a beautiful plant. Fucking love watching that guy's videos. So I was watching a bit of that last night, watching this one about this carnivorous. Oh, you gotta see this, it's fucking great. You know what, let me see if I can find like a quick one to take a look at real quick. His channel is called Crime Pays But Botany Doesn't. Let me take a quick look. Let me see if he's got any short videos. He's got a 5-minute one here, an excerpt from something. Let's have a look. Videos. 17-minute one, 45-minute one, 30 minutes. Mushroom identification in landscaping beds. Let's take a look at this. This is 5 minutes long. Let's have a quick look at this guy. But yes, by the way, this is what we're doing today. We're going to be checking out FD Signifier's video on anime. I got it loaded up here. Anime fans deserve better than Eren Yeager. Let's go ahead and check that out in a bit. But just for the time being, let's check out this guy's videos.
Hi, welcome to a quick episode of Crime Pays Botany Doesn't. We're coming to you from New Zealand, from the landscaping beds near the freeways. They also got plenty of these just around the different suburbs and towns here, where two different species that are vastly different in chemical composition seem to be thriving in these wood chip beds. So you can see Formium tenax right here, a native plant they use in landscaping. Also got
Hey Odnom, what's going on?
Yucca lookalike, and you've just got ample.
Everybody go follow Odnom. He's fucking great.
Food source. So we're going to
How you
take a
doing,
look
bestie?
at two of the two different species that tend to pop up in these landscaping beds. So no one out there ends up mistaking one for the other and possibly dying. Here we go. So this is kind of spooky. This is Galerina marginata.
That one there will fucking murk you off. That shit right there. That's. Phew. This is the most common one, I believe, in the States. If you're going around looking for psilocybin mushrooms, people who are inexperienced will mistake it for this. But it's a bit. So I don't know about this mushroom right here. It looks like it grows on. It looks like it grows on bark, because Galerina marginata, normally you won't mistake that, because it grows in a completely different area. Like, for example, in the UK, you won't find this growing anywhere near psilocybin mushrooms, because it grows on dead wood rather than dead grass, which is what psilocybin semilanceata grows on, which is Liberty Caps in the UK. But apparently in the States, it's and other places as well, where these other kinds of psilocybin mushrooms grow. It's really easy to mistake these ones for these ones if you're inexperienced. But you can see they're quite clearly different, right? Once you get used to mushroom picking and looking at different ones and stuff like that, it's like, oh, look, you know, this is yellow and orange kind of looking. And these ones are obviously, they're like very pale and shit like that. So yeah, he's going to tell us about this, I think, anyway.
Deadly psilocybe lookalike, if you don't know what to look for, growing right next to Psilocybe subruginosa on the right. You can see Psilocybe subruginosa.
Psilocybe, that's how he says it. These fucking these captions are not going to do well in these videos. I'm telling you right now.
Doesn't have that distinctive annulus that you can see the Gallerina has. The looking at the underside of the cap, the caps, the gills look much different. You can also see that distinctive bluing on the stipe right there, as well as stipe texture. But they really do look alike if you're looking at them from the top.
Right.
Or they can look alike. There's subtle differences in cap texture, especially if Gallerina has been sprayed with the herbicide they use in these landscaping beds. Sometimes you might have that semi-blue, kind of like a green turquoise staining. But Gallerina marginata is of course deadly, and Psilocybe subruginosa is psychoactive and generally harmless. But it's more just than looking at pictures and comparing them. You have to actually know the differences.
When I was like 3, I ate a random mushroom that grew in a park, and luckily the hospital was able to make me puke it up. But maybe in hindsight, that explains a few things.
In morphology, spore color, etc.
Yeah, it's really hard.
They grow together.
I think, you know, it's, if you eat one of these, the bad news is, if that gets anywhere near your intestines, right? If that gets anywhere near your fucking intestines, you know, the tiniest bit of it will kill you, because the way that it works is the molecules in it attach itself to your liver, and then subsequently prevent you from processing toxins, just like regular toxins in your body. So you basically die of liver failure. It's like one of the most extremely painful ways to die. So fucking hell, you know, when you're gathering mushrooms of any kind, whether it's, you know, well, you should never gather psilocybe mushrooms, because that's illegal, isn't it? And we don't do that, do we, Twitch chat? No, we don't break the law. The law is the arbiter of all morality. But if you're going to break the law, I can't stop you from doing that, then, you know, please be mindful of Gallerina marginata. Those are the ones. Or Gallerina autumnalis as well. I think Gallerina autumnalis, there's 2 different types. Gallerina autumnalis, Gallerina marginata. So just be careful. Odnon says, when I was 18 and I didn't know anything about mushrooms, someone dared me to eat this random one, and thankfully it was just not very fun. I went full blunderbussy for a day. I've never heard the word blunderbussy, but now I've read it in the Twitch chat. I'm very much interested in using it for the rest of my life, quite regularly. Thank you, Odnon.
Dangerous lookalikes out there. You could see with all this formium and just the endless bed of landscaping that they got down here, they've really created a wonderful
fucking blunderbuss
habitat for wood-loving fungi, psychoactive, harmless, or deadly.
And you know, if you're going foraging for mushrooms, there's a reason that you should do it in like the wild, right? And not in somewhere like this. Because like he said previously, some people will spray herbicides on their lawns and stuff like that. You know, if you see like mushrooms growing on someone's lawn and you think, that kind of looks like a tasty mushroom I could put in a pasta, just don't risk it, because if people are putting herbicides down, it's going to change the coloration of the mushroom. It's going to change maybe even how it grows a little bit. You don't know what people are doing to their land. So if you're going to go picking mushrooms and foraging, always try and go as far out in the country as you possibly can, where people are not going to be doing that. You know what I mean?
To thrive. It's just endless. Probably these chips, I assume, are radiata pine, which is invasive here. But it's just hilarious to me because there's ample psilocybe too. Ample psilocybe, lots of Gallerina, marginata, etc. See, there's some nice psilocin polymerization.
So psilocybe. If this is how you say it, then I've been saying it wrong my entire life. But psilocybin, this is how I say it. Psilocybin mushrooms do tend to have this, like when they get old, they kind of blew up a little bit and they get a little wrinkly like that. I'm not sure if that happens with any other kind of mushroom, but they're quite distinctive in that regard. You know, I am saying it right, innit? He's saying it wrong. That's what I thought. Thank you, Kat. You're not too late for the FD react. Hello, Death and a Lovely Italian. How you doing? No, I've literally just started. You can tell how long someone's been live on a stream. Ample philosophy. I know. It's so bad. I keep getting some mushrooms trying to grow in my raised beds picture on Discord. Let's take a look. See if we can have a little look. Yeah, so these are not... no, I wouldn't say that they're psilocybin. No, definitely not. Definitely not. These are... these look quite interesting. Quite interesting, but I think... Just very, very, like... I think, you know, I don't want to give anyone the wrong advice. I wouldn't say that they're edible. You'd probably be able to find these just on like a standard identification book. Maybe these are the younger ones. I think these are the younger ones here. Yeah, cute little guys. You know, they're cute little guys. Yeah, for sure. Like these ones here, really cute. I love how they look. Really beautiful. Getting a bit older here, these ones, obviously something has eaten this one. So they're edible to something somewhere. That's quite definitely like a chomp, right? Something has chomped that, maybe like a squirrel or like a little something or other, maybe a bird or like a little bug or something like that. But yeah, something's been chomping on it. Yeah, I wouldn't like to say specifically what they are, but you know, to me it just kind of looks like maybe a mushroom that doesn't quite do anything. But yeah, a simple guide. You can find loads of foraging guides and stuff like that. Like what kinds of so like the thing that you should probably be aware of is it's growing on mulch, right? You might have bumped it when pulling it out. Oh, it could be that then. It could be that. So it's growing on the mulch here, which is probably going to be tree bark, right? I think. Don't quote me on this, but from what I know of like basic sort of like be careful, you know, generalized mushroom identification. If something grows on wood and it has a stem, just be really careful about it, right? Do you know what I mean? Because the ones that grow on wood, Gallerina, as he said, you take one bite of that, you'll fucking die. You can't die from touching it though. Don't worry about that. Porcelain Giant, she's like a really, really cool mycologist girl. She'll tell you like you could touch them with your hands, it'll be fine as long as you don't lick your hands afterwards and shit like that. Just wash your hands. It won't go through the skin. But yeah, it's just be mindful sometimes when you're picking this. But interesting, yeah, you know, it could just be fuck knows. Maybe it's like I don't know, some kind of shiitake or something like that. But I'm sure you'll be able to find out. You know, bonus crop. What do they call it? The yesterday volunteer crop. Just like growing, managed to substrate itself in your garden. Hey, Vi Bloomin', how's it going? Good to see you. Yeah, might only be edible once. Yeah, you don't know. You don't know about that. But there you go. Very interesting. Very cute how they grow like that. Look at that. But I think you're right to take them out because we don't know. You don't know what effect they're going to have on your plants. And if you're growing tubers, if you're growing like potatoes, radishes, things that develop underground under there, you might, you know, you don't want the mycelium to grow around it because if you want to eat that stuff, you might poison yourself. So, yeah, very, very interesting. I love mushrooms. There's so many of them, and they're so like vast and wildly different from each other and very crazy.
But again, check for no annulus and look at the gills, look at the spores.
Hey, Femboy Echo, what's up?
They're just thriving here. And it's our old friend Aceroi rubra, of course, too, getting in on the action.
Oh shit, look at this stinkhorn. Oh my god.
Decomposing all the cellulose and lignin and whatnot. But it's looking a little rough, right?
That's what I mean. When he gets excited, like listen to him when he gets excited versus when he's like, you know, not very like aroused.
And it's our old friend Aceroi rubra, of course, too, getting in on the action.
Getting in on the action.
All the
like,
cellulose and lignin and whatnot. But it's looking...
I don't know. Is this a Brooklyn accent? I might be wrong. I don't know. It sounds like Brooklyn, but...
A little rough, right? Because it's getting blasted with the sun, so it's a little dried out. I can't even smell it from here. Normally you could smell the feces smell and roadkill smell from, 6 feet away.
Yeah, these things smell like...
There you go. There's a nice rotten freshy. See that? Just opening up.
Look how crazy this is, chat. We live on an alien planet. It's so cool. So cool. Decomposing all the cellulose and lignin and whatnot. Yeah, it's so funny.
What a damn alien. What a strange fungus.
Literally said alien after I said it.
And look, it looks like someone smeared shit on the lobes of that fruiting body. That's where the spores are, I guess. Just trying to get insects to fly into it, get all curious, look into its butthole-like mushroom, and then fly off with the spores.
Yep. That's what it's for.
See, look at that. Galerina marginata.
Yeah.
Can't quite see the annulus on it, but notice how it's not bluing. Get the different, slightly different coloration and stipe and gills.
Yeah.
Growing right next to Psilocybe subruginosa. Different gill color.
They look
texture,
so similar.
No annulus. And,
they look so fucking similar. You know what I mean?
Down there at the base of that stipe. Gotta be careful. Gotta know your shit. If you're gonna do that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's a Galerina marginata with the hint of an annulus. See that? That other one didn't have it. Either way, growing right next to the subs.
Hey, Sorka, what's going on?
Hilarious. Yeah, look at this.
Incredible. Incredible. I love that shit. I love that shit so much. So yeah, we are gonna be today checking out the FD Signifier anime video. He actually messaged me and said, "Have you watched it yet?" And this was about 2 weeks ago or something like that. And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I've not had time." But I did as soon as I saw him. As soon as I saw him publish it, I wanted to watch it. So we are going to be checking it out. If you don't know FD Signifier, what you're doing with your life, he's amazing. Please go and show him some love. Give him a like, give him a comment, give him a subscribe. Just like a very good content creator. He's on 500,000 subs, you know. He's over the hill of 500,000 subs right now. So, you know, gotta get in there early before he gets to the million, so you can be like, I was there, right? So, let's check this out. I don't know what the content warnings are for this. You know, it's you know, it's anime, so the content warnings. I'm just gonna stick one up there for like I don't know. Let's say violence, because you know there's gonna be violence in anime, right? So like violence and probably blood, because I know he talks about Berserk. Possibly if he talks about Berserk, he's gonna have maybe there's you know, discussion of the sexual assault that takes place in Berserk, maybe. So we'll have that in there too. So just be mindful of yourself. Content warning: anime bullshit. Right. Oh yeah, misogyny too, right? Because I definitely think he's gonna be talking about how you know, men. We love them. We love men, but we also hate them. With a passion. There we go. You know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, so perhaps violence, misogyny, blood and sexual assault, that kind of stuff. Let's just be careful. Better to be safe than sorry. I'm just going to move things around a bit, make it look a little nice, because, you know, I love my chatters. I love my chatters, and I want them to have the best experience. I want you to have the best experience when you are enjoying the stream. Okay, stream millennium. Right. Good. Okay, it's looking good. There it is. Part of it is how it affects men and stuff. Oh yeah. I thought it was to do with that. Anyway, let's crack on. Let's get right into it. I think I'm already in like the. Oh no, I'm not. I think I gotta do this. Politics. Is that right? Yeah. There you go. All right. We're in this. All right. Let's check it out. Mother's basement. These are some great illustrations. Is that Super Eye Patch Wolf? Hell yeah. Let's go. Wait, is Mother's Basement a YouTuber? Yeah. Feek. Animeized. Let's go. Oh, okay, so Mother's Basement is an actual like content creator. I was laughing. I just thought it was like a I just thought it was like, yeah, you know, the guys in their mother's basement. But that's a great name. That's a great fucking name if you know, if what you're talking about is anime and shit like that, right? Very cool illustrations, very cool animations.
Spicy hot take coming at you right now.
Buzzing.
And that is, anime is weird.
What?
Relena,
Fuck yeah.
here you go. It's an invitation to my birthday tomorrow. I hope you'll be able to make it to the party.
Wait, why do I recognize that one? What's that one? I've not seen the other ones, but this is ringing a bell. Isn't this like one about like a guy that goes to a really posh school and it's I can't remember. It's like ringing a bell.
But why?
I'll kill you.
Oh, I love anime.
And this is not up for debate. Now, I want to be clear, anime is not weird because culturally we don't understand it. It's not weird because it's cartoons. It's weird because it's made by weird people for weird people.
Yep.
And if you watch anime, you should do it with a condom on your brain. You're going to catch the weird. I know this from experience. In fact, once upon a time,
Get your brain condoms out, chat.
what some people would call a weeb. I don't think I ever got that deep into it. I was
Someone who Naruto runs to be first in the lunch line. Chat, I've definitely done it. I know you have too. Don't lie. I know you did it. I saw you do it. Right? Oh, damn. What's up? Okay.
You know, a long time ago. When I was younger, anime was much harder to get access to. Dragon Ball, Ronin Warriors, Sailor Moon, stuff like that made it to like Saturday morning cartoons every once in a while.
Yeah.
I, like many future men of culture, convinced my mom to rent me Ninja Scroll from Blockbuster a few times during middle school. By high school, like any self-respecting nerd, I joined
Same trans element,
tried to
yeah.
act like I'd never shouted out a special attack while jumping off the couch in my pajamas. By the time I got to college in the early 2000s, Toonami was
Toonami!
a larger audience, but by then I was actually learning how to talk to girls, so I wasn't paying as much attention as I probably should have.
Fuck. Oh, that's actually so true. So I'm a bit younger than FD. I can't remember exactly how old FD is, but like I'm a bit younger than him. And like for me, Toonami was like the shit because it was right at the point just before I started to, like he says, get interested in talking to girls and, you know, shit like that. So the whole bit of my Toonami experience was basically like I started to watch it because my dad's had cable and we would basically watch like TV in the day and then like I would go to bed, and he made the stupid mistake of letting me have a TV in my room. So I had this like fucking cathode ray tube fucking, what are you know, like with the curved screen kind of thing. You touch it and it's like, or whatever, right? I graduated in 06, so I remember when Toonami dropped. Imagine FD. What's graduated in the States? I don't know what that is. I never figured out how to talk to girls as a boy. Well, I never figured out how to talk to girls until I got, you know, maybe like 26 or something like that. And listen, I'm still learning. You know. You graduate 18, right? Okay. So yeah, so you and FD are probably 2 years older than me, right? Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So yeah, but for me, like I was like when Toonami, I don't know when Toonami was in the fucking in the States, but I know in the UK it was like on Cartoon Network at least, it was like Saturday nights for like maybe 4 hours or something like that. Like the maximum it would go through to like from 10 p.m. and I would stay up so late watching that. Like it was just ridiculous. I had it on so low and I would sit like right close to the TV, and like as soon as I heard like a noise in the house, I'd be like, turn it off. Do you know what I mean? Turn it off. Jump back in bed. Did my dad hear me? Fuck, right? But I would watch on it like Tenchi Muyo. Oh my god, Tenchi fucking Muyo. I fucking fell in love with Ryoko. Like, oh my god. I was in love with Ryoko from day one. Like, just dream girl. Fucking dream girl. I'm still looking for my Ryoko, chat. You know? I'm still looking for her. I'm a Washu girl. Washu is great. Washu is great in her own way as well. And you know, so is what's her face? Fucking what's the fucking name? The other one. I've completely forgotten her fucking name. The Princess Ayaka. That's it. Ayaka. You know, Ayaka's great. You know, Ayaka's for someone. I guess I'm still looking for the Tenchi Muyo polycule. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's like more of a harem, I don't believe in those kinds of power dynamics. You know what I mean? But yeah. So it's one of them, right? Maybe that's why I grew up to be polyamorous. I don't know. Oh god. Remember in college I found out about anime. There was one channel that would play Bleach super late at night and I'd sneak out to the family room and do the same thing. Well, the thing was, what got me into anime initially... Hey, Hell to Pay, how's it going? Good to see you. What got me into anime initially was Dragon Ball Z. Like Feet was saying, right? It was Dragon Ball Z. Because that was on at like after school times on Cartoon Network. So I would watch it every day, and you know what Dragon Ball Z is like? I used to fucking hate it. The fucking cliffhangers were just so much. It was just so much, and I knew I wasn't getting any more Dragon Ball Z until the next day. So my life would be get home from school, have a little snack, go watch Dragon Ball Z, sit there, go, whoa, that was crazy. I want to do martial arts. And then I would play video games until I realized that I couldn't put my homework off anymore. You know, that would be it. That would be it, basically. On the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Z. Now, here's the thing for the Yanks, right? And maybe anyone else who's just not in the UK, right? I'm gonna play you something. And I want you to tell me if this is the Dragon Ball Z that you remember. This fucking VOD is getting fucking copyright strike to shit.
Dragon Ball Z. Dragon, rock, dragon, come,
Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! God, it's so good. This arguably got me into metal. Like this this tune, like just at the start of Dragon Ball Z, I was like, fuck yeah, martial arts, metal, that's my life from now on. No, they didn't dub it with an all British cast. They didn't do that. Oh my god. Hey TTK, how's it going? Good to see you. My way of getting into it was not typical. My friend found out about manga from drawing books at the library. I was into manga, and in college I had to use the internet at school and started watching stuff. Nice. Okay, cool. Cool. Anywood's Exploration, hello. How's it going? Welcome to see. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Vord as well. Welcome in. And Skidade. Oh my god, everyone's coming in at once. What's going on? TTK, first job. Can I get a shout out for Skidade? How you doing, Skid? I wonder if a femme experience is different though. Maybe. I don't know. No? Okay, that's fair enough. I'll do it. Oh, there you go. We did it anyway. All right, cool. What do you mean, Goku? We go over there, take the Dragon Balls, same as... Oh, what? Like a thingy, a British Dragon Ball Z. Watch out, Goku! Here comes that Frieza! And Frieza's like Welsh or something, you know? Frieza's like, I'll be taking over the Dragon Balls. I can't do a Welsh. I can't do a fucking Welsh accent. I'm not even going to try. Anyway, UK localized Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, we got to do it. We got to make it happen. The most stereotypical Brit accent. Yeah, it's got to be done. Anyway, the reason that I asked you that is because I remember one time when I was Googling the theme tune of Dragon Ball Z. And it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Because I heard this and I was like, is this what they had in America instead? Right? They had this tune. Which is still a banger. It's still a banger, actually, this one. It's so good, right? It's really good. Yeah, the US theme was the UK theme. I thought so, right. Okay, do you want to know something funny about that, chat? When I was getting into university to do music tech, we had to do an audition. And I played that on the guitar. Hey, Count Yogula, welcome back. Good to see you. Yeah, way away from the Rock the Dragon theme. Way. We just listened to that. So that was that, basically.
Surprisingly, the closest I ever
Hey, Sleepy Time, queer. Yeah, it does shred.
Was in my late 20s when I was a high school teacher. I ended up sponsoring anime clubs and was exposed to just how big anime had gotten since those Toonami days.
Yeah, very 80s rock, I agree.
Suddenly, I was binging Naruto and Bleach and also diving into things like Gurren Lagann and Madoka Magica and Code Geass and Monster. Things that you won't necessarily see on Toonami, you have to look for them and you probably have to watch them on one of those sites that's likely to give your computer diseases. From that, I was pretty much hooked. I even started reading a lot of manga for anime that weren't getting second seasons.
I've never seen Monster.
I had a collection of Spice and Wolf books. Still holding out for season 3, guys. It's only been like a decade. I even discovered early Anitube in the late 2000s, early 2010s. So I watched influential creators like Beatrice the Golden Witch, Giga, Kanido, Glass Reflection, and the legendary cryptid Demolition D. I was in there. Like, some of you watching this don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But there's a collection of people, maybe my people, watching this video's first little section saying, he just like me for real. It was awesome because I've always been a lover of media and good stories. And here was this untapped world of media and good stories at my fingertips, mostly for free.
Mostly for free. Yeah. I was a turbo nerd and was in an anime club early in high school that rented out VHS fan subs. That is fucking nuts, and I love it. That's amazing. Holy fucking shit. You know what, chat? Before we go any further, let's just make sure. Does everybody everybody know about... Wait, did I get rid of it? Oh, does everybody know about this? The new Uzumaki trailer that came out like a couple of weeks ago? You know about this? The Junji Ito Uzumaki anime? Like, this is amazing to me because this is actually like fucking, they listened to criticisms of Junji Ito's super scary stories, right? Because the most annoying thing, and I think Super Eye Patch Wolf did a video about this. I watched it on stream ages ago. Because Junji Ito's nighttime stories or Dr. Scary, Junji Ito's bedtime Dr. Jokta stories, it didn't quite get the vibe right of Junji Ito, right? And I think he's working, Ito-san, on, or what would you say? Would you say Junji-san? Ito-san? I don't know. He's actually like working closely with them on Uzumaki. And this is the latest trailer. But it's less a trailer, it's more of a teaser. It looks really good in black and white. Well, that's the thing, because one of the things that made it not scary was that it was in color, and the color was all like very vibrant and shit like that. But the thing that makes fucking Uzumaki scary is like no idea. Ito is the last name, I think, so Ito-san, because you don't know him, right? Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Na, Kirie. 一緒にこの町を脱出しないか。
何それ？駆け落ち？
君は何も感じないのか？
Look, everything, it's so good, chat. Like, just keep an eye out. Just keep an eye out for fucking spirals in like almost every frame. It's fucking crazy. I'm so excited for this, because for anyone that doesn't know, Junji Ito is a horror mangaka, and right, yeah, I remember. Yes, Taejan, hey Taejan, welcome. I remember talking to you about this years ago when it was first announced. It was literally like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe, right? I recall a short story with a kid with a telescope sees a strange creature on the outside of a skyscraper, then it turns its head looking right into the lens. Is that Ito? I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to check that out. Research it for yourself. Yeah, it's going to be scarring if it's this crisp with the horrific imagery. Yeah, I agree, Sorka. It's going to be really good. It's one of my favorite ones. But Uzumaki is about spirals, right? And it's sort of like a cosmic horror where everyone in the town becomes obsessed with spirals. And the way that the anime the way that the manga goes is it slowly start to see more and more circles in all the frames, and it's this like really subtle, slow build up in all the panels to eventually the point where there are just fucking spirals everywhere, and it's fucking great. But just check this out, and there's like when he's walking past little bits, you'll see like little spirals and stuff.
一緒にこの町を脱出しないか。
何それ？
There's one.
駆け落ち？
君は何も感じないのか。
There's one. Those are obvious, obviously.
最近やけに渦が多い。
そうね。
それに風までもがやけに渦を巻き上がる。親父が変になったのもこの町のせいだと俺は思ってる。親父は最近は会社へも行かず書斎に閉じこもって。
Hey Yoshiel, how's it going? Welcome in. Yeah, the black and white makes it look great. Just makes it look so good.
溢れ返った渦巻きを一日中ただひたすら見つめているんだ。そうしている時の親父の目はぐるぐる回っているんだ。左右別々に。しかも異様に滑らかに。
左右の目を別々に？
ある日の夕食の席では味噌汁にナルト巻きが入っていないと怒り出してとにかく渦がなければ気が済まないんだ。風呂でも必ず渦を作るらしい。笑うのも無理ないさ。実際に見ないとあの不気味さはわからない。
もう5時。
嫌な音だ。俺の耳の中をかき回しやがる。あの陰鬱な海、邪悪な黒い灯台、陰険な山々、この街並み。
You gotta get out. You gotta get out.
神経を引っかき回す。
Oh, it's gonna be so fucking good. Oh, I can't fucking wait, chat. I can't fucking wait. It's hopefully gonna be really, really good. Yoshil in the chat says the only bad thing is that they said it's 4 episodes only. That doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. 4 episodes might be an hour long each. They might be able to breach the entire, you know, story arc in that time. 4 hours long. That's like 2 movies worth. Who knows? Who knows? So we can only wait and see, right? FLCL was only 6 and it's a masterpiece, right? Just because something is you know, has like a finite amount of episodes. I think that's actually a really important point to bring up, actually, because like I think a lot of people sometimes with anime will think more episodes means more gooder, which just isn't necessarily the case, because not only does it make it quite, because Dragon Ball Z, I'm one of the biggest fans of Dragon Ball Z, right? I love Dragon Ball Z. I will rewatch it every couple of years, every few years, you know, a few, like, you know, episodes here and there. But the thing is that those filler episodes, it's just holy fucking shit, man. Holy fucking shit. It's just so much, right? It's just way too much. And it makes it inaccessible as well. Thanks for the follow. Even the filler of Uzumaki is so good. Well, you know, we'll see. We'll see. I checked out the start of what I missed of FD's video, and good news for him, New Spice and Wolf is coming next year. Oh, right, cool. I don't even know what that is, but have you seen Dragon Ball Z Kai? Yeah, Dragon Ball Z Kai is much easier. That Spiral manga is really long. It is a long manga, yeah. It is a long manga. And it moves really slow. So, you know, I understand where Yoshio is coming from, but you know, for me personally, like I'm a fan when things end, because I think it's natural for things to end, right? As humans, we have this like what do you call it? Like this desire to like stop things from ending, but actually like things ending can be very good and natural, actually. Do you know what I mean? Anyway. One Piece exists. Do not crucify me, One Piece fans. Wait, what? Hey, Johnny. Everybody go follow Johnny, by the way. How you doing? Good to see you, friend. All right, let's crack on with FT's video. Spirals don't end, though. Ooh, spooky. Right, exactly, which is actually why it's so scary, if you think about it, because that sort of, like, implies the existence of infinity. Infinity is a vast concept to, you know, try and understand.
Literally thousands of shows.
Right, Count Yogula. Yeah, for sure.
And I just indulged
Gobs!
in.
Can I get a
Sword Out Online.
shout out for Gobs, please, TTK?
And all of a sudden, anime stopped being the cool weird that I've always loved and started being
Gods in Economics.
Weird I was talking about at the very beginning of the video. I am no prude. I was born in the 80s. I'm a child of the relatively
Thanks,
unchaperoned post-Reagan, pre-Columbine 90s television consumption era. I watched Aeon Flux as a preteen and Two Girls, One Cup as an adult. Anime getting weird. It's not just about getting tired of some of the way that anime can definitely be in bad taste.
All ends leave room for beginnings. Exactly.
Trashy.
One door closes, another opens.
About anime as a whole, the culture building under the medium didn't sit right with me anymore. Not all of it, of course. I still came through to partake in the most hypest of hype shows and Google an anime titty or two when the time was right. But the zeal I had for this world of art was gone. But almost the whole time while growing distant with anime, I also became very much invested in working with young men and boys. I had been a teacher that whole time, but also consistently worked with young people outside of work, eventually moving into working with at-risk youth in the juvenile court systems, which led to working in public health. And during that whole process, I was also studying gender and health at the graduate school level, and I had 2 little boys of my own. The combination of my work and my studies and my experiences led me to really become more invested in the issues and challenges that face young men and boys. I watched a lot of young men and boys struggle through life, struggle through the juvenile court system, struggle through their teenage years, but also friends and peers struggle in adulthood, struggle with substance addiction, struggle with divorce, struggle with parenting, struggle with death. And some of these men even met unexpected and untimely deaths of their own at their own hands. And this grew in me a desire to say something, to do something, to offer in whatever way I can anything to help out the young men and boys that I had been seeing struggling throughout the course of my life.
You've spoken about this before, right?
And somewhere along the line, that brought me to YouTube. And although I didn't start YouTube with that specifically in mind, it clearly has been a core feature of the type of content that I make on this channel. I've talked about the manosphere, I've talked about edgelords, I've talked about sex, I've talked about more sex. I'm probably gonna talk about sex again. But today, I'm gonna talk about anime. After a long time away from the medium, the intersection of anime and all of the men and young guys who like it has brought me to ask a question. Why do guys like anime?
What do you reckon, chat? What do you reckon? Why do guys like anime? Come on, this is a participatory stream. Titties, that's a good one. Booba. Butts, okay. Power fantasy, they are the hero. Girls like anime because we're gay. The hero male protagonist thing and the waifus. Power fantasies, yep. The video explains it pretty well. I'm so glad you say. I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, I'm so fucking glad you said that, Yoshiel, because you know I wasn't gonna watch it. I was just gonna end it there. I wasn't gonna watch it. I was just gonna finish the reaction there. I was just gonna. Why do you think, chat? All right, done. Next fucking context. Next content. That's what I was gonna do. Of course the fucking video explains it. Fuck me. Okay. Hey, Rebel Firestorm, how's it going? Main character syndrome, right? It's good stuff, fun and weird. You're not quite understanding the question, but yeah, I know what you mean. Big swords, yep. Good stories and emotional male leads on occasion. Yep. Hey, Sol Afix, yeah. Thighs. Thighs. I used to like it for the fantasy. Now I like it for the accurate portrayal to anti-hierarchical ideology. Right. Well, you know, I think the thing is that you start off liking anime. Me anyway. My own personal journey, because of the power fantasy. Right. It's the power fantasy. Yeah. It's this idea that if you really put your mind to something, you can be strong and you can hold off anything. Right. most people get into anime when they're in their like formative years. Do you know what I mean? It's like cartoons, so it's kind of kids, but it's also development. Do you know what I mean? So like you're sort of starting to learn about the bad things that may or may not have happened to you or your friends or people that you know, and you start to learn about like injustices, right? So naturally, sort of taking this, like, it's the same reason why people like superhero stories, right? Same thing. You know? Power of friendship is also a pretty powerful aspect. There are all these other aspects of it. You know, I think one of the biggest things that I took from anime is like, it would be great to be able to protect my friends and myself, right? You know? And isolation that a lot of young boys face. Yeah, I think the power of friendship is definitely a thing for sure. Yeah, defo. The anime most guys like and get drawn in would be, I assume, shonen, which has all the things chat brought up. Yeah, that's right. But then, as you get older and you read more like, you know, adult animes, right? Mangas, sorry. You read more adult mangas, you watch more adult animes. Then you start to realize, oh, there's something extra going on here, right? There's something extra going on here.
Awesome. It's really simple. What draws boys and men to anime? Like, what gets guys in particular into anime? Fight scenes, action. The plot. Do you mean divine the plot?
Yeah, he knew. He knew what he meant when he said plot.
I've watched enough anime to know that plot comes in different forms.
And to figure that out, I actually visited MomoCon here in Georgia, the largest anime convention in the state, possibly in the South. It doesn't take much to notice that in the West, anime and manga is one of the most significant forces in media.
Right, there's a bit of romance in there too, right, TTK, yeah.
What was once a niche pocket of media when I was a kid is now so ubiquitous and well known that you see NFL stars rocking Naruto headbands in post-game interviews.
Jared Goff, Cal. First swag Kazakage, leader of the hidden village of the demon.
And what I want to do in this video is discuss
hey, Mr. Dank.
What is it that brings guys to anime and what do they gain from being there? Is anime all just fantasy fulfillment and animated titties, or is there something deeper for boys to glean from the medium if they make the effort? But because I spent so much time out of anime for the last decade, I figured I'd bring in two people that have kept the pulse on the culture to support me in this journey.
The awesome factor is a big deal, right? You know, like that's obviously a big part of it. That's what sucks kids into Naruto, into My Hero Academia. Underneath that,
my man's got 1 million subs. Who is this guy? I've never even heard of him. Mother's Basement. I gotta check this guy out. Mother's Basement, the best anime of summer 2023. It's this kind of stuff. Let's have a look. Anime we wish stayed dead. Yeah, Berserk 2016 is in there. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I could get down with that.
One of the like common themes that you'll find in basically any thing that follows the shonen formula or the shonen battle formula is this undercurrent of like training and growth and self-betterment, trying to be stronger both, you know, physically by getting better powers.
Hey, Pat Potato,
like,
what's up?
Most of the characters will go through some kind of emotional arc where they like really develop as a person, and that happens in tandem with the development of their powers, and that creates, you know, a metaphorical connection. And then, you know, when they beat somebody up, they're not just beating them up and it's awesome.
Used to be cringe.
That's
okay,
part of it, but they're also contending with their ideals and kicking their ideals' asses.
Whatever example I could give you about
there he is, the boy.
Literally any piece of anime, I'm sure I could find 4 or 5 animes to immediately counter that and be like, well, this one's like this. When you talk about anime specifically, it is genuinely like asking, well, what does American cinema provide for boys? I think a lot of modern shonen really takes this idea of you're a kid and you can reach these states of being an
Right, same
advanced
board.
self, being like becoming a Super Saiyan. I was in therapy.
Mac
the other day, and I
1986
had to
window,
explain-
yeah, it's
I
good.
had to explain to my therapist what a Super Saiyan was. Yeah, it's not my finest moment. That's not going in the video, is it, Feek?
No, it's not going in the video.
Sponsor time. Let's get out. We're getting out. Yep. What is it, Skillshare?
It's Japanese animation, and manga is Japanese cartoon drawings. The terms anime and manga go back well over a century, but what it means now is very different than what it might have meant way in the 19th century. And that's kind of it for background in terms of like things I know I won't get.
Well, that's why I asked the question as well, Count Yogula, right? Because it is a broad question, like why do boys like anime, right? Because there's so many different answers, but you know, specifically boys. When we say boys, we're not saying kids, are we? We're saying boys, right? So masculinized young people, right? You know, it's not a loaded question, right? But it is sort of like asked with an implication in it.
Yelled at about, and I'm sure knowing anime fans, something I just said will get me yelled at. But I just want to put the disclaimer out that as we go forward in this video, this is all subjective and very much my opinion and assessment based on the information that I have. All right?
Feek, I just want to be clear. There's no maybe about this.
There's no way to land on this and stick the landing. Somebody's going to be pissed off.
Talking about anime on the internet.
In my Berserk video, I don't know what Eyepatch Wolf is gonna say. Yeah, I don't know what Eyepatch Wolf is gonna say, but in my Berserk video, right, there are multiple points in that video where I say this is just my interpretation of mine and my friends' interpretation of Berserk and the romance and stuff like that, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you have a different interpretation. It's all good. You can have that interpretation. It's fine for you to have it. That's what art is for, etc., etc. But I still get people in my comments, still 2 months later, just like, you're wrong. And it's like, I don't care. Like, I'm not sat there trying to be right. Do you know what I mean? And there is, for some reason, people have such an attachment to anime. And it's like, and I've experienced it as well, right? Because when I see like people who've made videos about Berserk, and they're saying like Guts is just like the archetypal masculine man's man, and he doesn't give a fuck, and like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh boy, you know, it fucking stresses me out. But like, you just let people have their own interpretation, you know, as long as it's not like too harmful, right?
Is like it's like jumping off a building, landing on a trampoline, and halfway down you're like, wait a minute, there's no trampoline.
It actually can be quite difficult to effectively define what anime is or what anime isn't, and that previous definition barely shows the breadth of the concept of anime as a whole. For example, Nickelodeon's Avatar: The Last Airbender or The Dragon Prince or even Arcane on Netflix are clearly heavily influenced by anime, but technically don't count as such, because if you just go by the definition of anime, then it must be made in Japan to count. But then you may say that if it's made in Japan, it also needs to have, you know, the big eyes and the colorful hair and whatnot. But then something like Ping Pong the animation, which doesn't have those features but is made in Japan, wouldn't count either. So you kind of see it's really complex. What I would say is that anime is just best described as a medium of animation combined with both a cultural and visual aesthetic that, in my opinion, is pretty much unique to Japan. And this is probably most easily explained by possibly the first ever anime in a modern sense, by the show Astro Boy by Osamu Tezuka in the 1950s. Tezuka is an interesting guy because he's often seen as Japanese Walt Disney, and he's a huge influence on the entirety of the world of animation in Japan. He's also an interesting figure because he was like a workaholic whose last words were reportedly him begging on his deathbed to be allowed to go back to work. For a short period of time, he was even in Japan's Communist Party, which definitely had to be interesting. But more importantly, he gave the world Astro Astro Boy, which also gives us the inception of what I think makes anime very unique in terms of the medium of animation, especially as it pertains to this video. See, Astro Boy is where we get the big eyes. It's where we get the spirited young boy main character, aka the shonen protagonist. But more importantly, it's probably where we get the biggest difference between animation in Japan that's made for kids, but also not really, and animation in the West, which is definitely made for.
Is Astro Boy anti-fascist? Is Astro Boy knocking out a bunch of KKK ghouls? Is that what we're looking at there?
Protagonist. But more importantly, it's probably where we get the biggest difference between animation in Japan that's made for kids, but also.
Oh, I gotta watch Astro Boy. Antifa Boy. Yeah, a bit of Transformers.
Not really.
Transformers, robots in disguise.
Made for kids and barely exits out of that framework. See, Astro Boy isn't just beating villains of the week. He's involved in geopolitics. He's got messages about discrimination and environmentalism.
Oh,
and
fuck yeah.
Is a nuclear reactor, which I'm pretty sure might have.
Spoke a lot about his post-war feelings in his work. Hell yeah.
Unlike in the West, where animation is seen mostly as a medium.
Bits of it are based.
Children. Conversely, anime has always been both for children and adults, or more accurately, it's never been afraid to treat children as adults. In anime, shows aimed more at children won't be afraid to reveal the truths of the world around them.
I think that is spot on, right? Yeah, Astro Boy was just shooting with an ass laser. That is what happened there as well. I think that bit's spot on. Right, because I think the main thing for me as a kid growing up was like I was watching Dragon Ball Z and people just fucking died. Right? People just fucking died. Not only that, people died in horrific ways. I will never forget. I've spoken about this on stream before. Yeah? I've spoken about this on stream before, but there's a moment in Dragon Ball Z where Android 17 or 18 gets like eaten alive by Cell, and it is like fucking well disturbing, and that is like one of the most like early memories I have of like something that horrible happening on like any kind of TV show. And you know, like Piccolo's fucking dying, and like one of the first things that I ever saw was like, because I remember like when Dragon Ball Z got like first announced that it was going to be on TV, I just saw like adverts for it and I was like, whoa, muscles flying, energy balls fighting. It just looked really cool, right? So I was like, I'm going to watch that. And I watched the very first episode, and actually I don't even know if it was the first. No, it's not the first episode of Dragon Ball Z, because the first episode of Dragon Ball Z, Raditz comes down and like says, I'm going to kill everybody. Bring me Kakarot, right? Yeah, they both get eaten. They both get eaten in like viscerally horrible ways. It's so gross. And then like it was the one I remember watching it and thinking like, this is quite cool, this is interesting. And then I think it might be like episode 2 or 3 that Goku just fucking dies, right? He sacrifices himself in order to like save the world, right? So he's like, I'm not strong enough for these guys. You've all got to train harder. I'm gonna have to just sacrifice myself and die. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, I watched that when I was like 9 or something. 9 years old. 9 years old, man. It's like, what the fuck? First episode of Detective Conan Uncensored, a dude loses his head in a roller coaster. Prime Kids TV. I don't know what that is, but yeah, I think that's what it is, because like Feek is right. You're not treated like a kid, innit? When you're watching anime, you're treated like, okay, you're ready to understand what death is. You're ready to understand what violence is. You're ready to understand what horror is, right? I have a vivid image of a character, can't remember who, just having a huge hole in their chest in DBZ, and it was so impactful. Yeah, that happened to so many people. It happened to so many people, especially in like the Namek arc, like the Frieza arc, you know? Where they all go to Namek and shit like that, and Frieza's just fucking killing people left and right, just with a finger as well, just like bzz, bzz. And I always remember thinking like, well, he could just have a gun, right? But then you learn when you realize like down the line, Goku has faced guns and he's been shot loads and it just really annoys him. So it's like, oh, okay, I get it. But I think in a way that was supposed to sort of like wake kids up to be like, oh man, like he could just shoot people like a gun, and guns can do that just in real life to real people, you know? It makes you think. It makes you think, you know? I'm not even a DBZ fan, but the Freezer arc was really formative for me, to be honest. Right, yeah, I remember that. I remember it. Prime example is Piccolo with a hole in his chest, which got censored for later airings. Yeah, because they just put that on fucking kids' TV at like 5 o'clock in the fucking UK. It was like, what the fuck? Get home, chill out, wait for 5 o'clock to come around. It's Dragon Ball Z. Oh my god. Crazy.
Because a boy is 5 or 10 doesn't mean that they aren't aware of how big and maybe scary the world can be.
Right.
And this may seem wrong to Western sensibilities, but then consider that there's a whole generation of children my age and younger who witnessed 9/11 in middle school. And my sons, who are both in elementary school, have been doing school shooter drills.
I think that's a huge thing, because like 9/11 happened at kind of like the time that I was figuring out, do you know what I mean, this stuff from anime. And I remember being shocked by 9/11, but like not that shocked, right? Shocked because it was like, whoa, what the fuck? This is like a movie in real life, but like my brain connected it to be like, well, those things can happen in real life, right? Otherwise, why would there be movies about them? Thank you for the follow, by the way.
Because guns have more rights than children in our country. When you look at shows like G.I. Joe or Transformers, you get, you know, cool action scenes, but they're shooting lasers and nobody ever dies. And, you know, I was watching Transformers because I thought robots were cool.
Well, that's not true though, is it? And I'm mainly doing this for Trans Salamander in the chat, because I know she's probably furiously typing right now like Optimus Prime dies, because that like legit happens, right? In is it the Unicron movie or something? I can't remember. I can't fucking remember. Yeah, but like fucking Transformers definitely died. But anyway, you know, I know what he's saying. It wasn't as obvious. They rusted into nothing. Yeah, shit like that. Right? They didn't die in the show, but they die in the movie. Yeah. Right.
Meanwhile, at around the same time, I'm sure tons of young boys in Japan were enjoying Gundam because robots are cool, just like they are in Transformers, but also war and child soldiers and death and geopolitics.
Yeah, you told me about that before, Adnan. Yeah,
you kind of see the difference here.
Part of the issue is a lot that comes to mind, right? You know, it's one of the dominant topics of the whole industry, basically. Gundam's really fascinating in how it explores, like, you know, the child's perspective on war to a certain extent. And, you know, there's a lot of different iterations of that.
I think what I'm getting at, I'm realizing through your words, is that anime humanizes boys differently.
Mm-hmm.
And with good anime that does well with the topic of masculinity.
Well, I think the conversation about Western media censoring violence is really pertinent, right? Because if you think about the governments that censored violence, it was always the governments doing the violence, wasn't it? Right? Reagan, Thatcher, you know? Big relationship with that. Because if you think about the progress from like post-war and the you know, pre-World War II, kids were like still witnessing, you know, relatives die from easily avoidable diseases, right? Post-war, we got the NHS in the UK. In the States, it was still pretty bad, but you know, there was this sort of like progression throughout the decades post-war, which led to neoliberalism. And then neoliberalism was kind of like, don't let the kids see any blood. Don't let the kids see any blood. And that was like, you know, taken advantage of, because there is a desire to protect children, right? Very much so, very valid, yeah. That can sometimes be too much, and I think ultimately hurts kids in a way, right? Because if you what do they call it? Mollycoddle? Is that the right word? Mollycoddle? I don't know. If you try and protect kids too much, they don't make their own mistakes, then you're not really treating them like they're full entire people, right? You're not really treating them like they have autonomy. You're not really treating them like they can learn to understand the world around them and shit like that. You're kind of saying like, no, it's too big for you. It's too big for you. You won't understand. And whenever you get parents or guardians or governments or whatever that do that, kids naturally rebel because it's not right? You know?
Humanizes boys differently, whereas like a more shallow engagement with boyhood into manhood might just be strong. Strong is awesome. Anime is more like earn strength, and then what are you using it for? So why is
But make violence look cool, so they want to enlist, right?
Is it that anime is allowed to be so much more adult and complex compared to Western animation? And I don't have a really good reason for that, but I think one of the core aspects of it is that anime, to an extent, is more artistically pure or artistically driven in comparison to Western animation, which probably sounds ridiculous to those of you who know anything about capitalism in Japan, which is like the best capitalism, which is also like the worst capitalism. The industry is saturated with exploitation of labor. So it's not like it's a better version, but just like, follow me for a second.
Wasn't there was that whole thing recently? I think Feek is saying this because Hassan went to Japan, right? When it opened up. And Hassan Piker, and he was like, oh, in Japan they got capitalism right. Which, look, knowing Hassan, he probably wasn't being fucking deadly serious about that. It's probably just like a throwaway thing. But like, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of like, you know, sort of like how things work and shit like that, you gotta hand it to Japan. Like, they got it on lock, right? It's really good. But then on top of that, it's still bad because you're still exploiting workers, you're still doing all this stuff. It's, you know, and then on top of that, you got all the hierarchy shit that goes along with you know, systems like capitalism, you know. So it's no good. There's a reason that Shinzo Abe got deleted, you know, with the doohickey, right?
As a culture is more collectivist than the West, which means that culturally they're more likely to just go along to get along. And when you combine this with the uncaring coldness of capitalism, it produces a horrible culture of work that, while exploitative and horrifying, also
collective capitalism, collective neoliberalism,
leaving their workers to have more autonomy compared to the type of micromanagement and focus testing oversight that we'll have in pretty much any type of work in the West. So
yeah, that's the worst bit. It's exactly what he's saying now. Like give everything you have to the fucking, you know, to the company. Not to mention they're ruled by a US enforced constitution. Right, exactly, like a lot of countries that suffered under US imperialism, you know. Like they got the atomic bomb twice. They got the atomic bomb twice, you know. Literally bombed into submission by the US, like more than any other country, right?
Take that.
I don't know if that's true, by the way, actually. At the time.
Then combine that with the fact that most anime start out as stories created by a singular artist with a very specific...
I gotta watch Chainsaw Man. Fuck. Chainsaw Man completely fucking passed me by. But now it's like, why have I not watched Chainsaw Man? Fuck my life.
An explicit story in their head, something that they want to get out there to hopefully get them noticed and get picked up and be made into a bigger anime or manga. And of course, all of these stories are very much capable of being highly derivative of other media that these artists consume or are informed by popular tropes. But even in the most...
Chat, there's a guy in the chat that you can't see. Oh no, you can see. He's up there actually. Oh no, you can see. Okay, I thought that this would be like preventing him from chatting in the chat. This is so fucking funny. Guy in the Twitch chat, why motherfuckers like this always trying to be tough? Motherfucker, you ain't shit. I beat the shit out of you. I've been in jail since I was like 15, motherfucker. I've been to juvie. I've been to jail. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, man, the kind of people to say that are always saying that in Twitch chats. They're always saying that in Twitch chats. Whatever it is you're looking for, my friend, I hope you get, hope you get the fulfillment and the love and the beauty and the grace in your life that everybody deserves.
Derivative stories, there's still that fact that these artists.
Chat, was I trying to act tough? Chat, was I trying to act tough? What was I doing? What was I doing then to upset that guy? Do I just look tough or intimidating or something like that? I don't get it. Sounds like projection. I mean, look, I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what I did to upset that guy. No, that's what I thought. I didn't think like, you know, I wasn't sat here going like, I'll fucking beat the shit out of you, bro. I'll fucking murk you up.
Can lead the story into whatever way they want to, pretty much from jump. So an anime may start out as a manga made by just one guy who was working on his own, and maybe he'll get like a
having a beard automatically makes you tough. That's what it is, isn't it? That's what it is.
Basically short.
Hello, Lundmark.
And there will be editors and producers that come and help a little bit, but compared to the brand managed, focus tested, significant oversight that we see in the West, it might as well be independently produced by comparison. And when these mangas or light novels or whatever,
it does say a lot about that person, right? That I wasn't really doing anything. I was just kind of sat here being bald with a beard. And they were like, you think you're so tough? I've been to jail. Okay, bro. Sorry about that, you know? I didn't send you to jail, by the way. No. I really need to watch Mob Psycho. Yeah, I heard about Mob Psycho. I think I tried to watch it. I don't know if it's my cup of tea.
Animes, there is a definite increase.
But Chainsaw Man, I need to watch Chainsaw Man.
But relatively little will be changed from the original story that the author had in mind when he started. So this amounts to a medium dominated by unique artistic voices. And since many of these creators, specifically creators of shonen anime, which are the anime that are generally the most popular and explicitly directed at young boys, that's what shonen means. These folks start out creating a lot of this stuff when they're just young boys themselves, and then they're influenced both by their experiences, but also the medium they grew up consuming. And then the core demographic that they're producing this content for is also young men like them. And so what you have is a medium with a uniquely dynamic artistic voice when it comes to engaging with boyhood and masculinity. Right. You get shows like My Hero Academia, which is not like a groundbreaking original show. It's a shonen superhero manga, but it refines all of the main tropes and themes from this type of show into its best elements. So yes, we get awesome action, people yelling out special attacks, and of course a bit of fan service, but we also get boys working through various forms of trauma.
Really? I can't, genuinely, man, genuinely. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. Oh, man.
It's a bit of fan service, but we also get boys working through various forms of trauma, social
I can't open the door. It's
nature of
fucking
justice,
boiling
and
in
role
it.
of police and authority, and dealing with toxic parents. Deku, the main character, is a perfect distillation of what a shonen protagonist can be. He's got pieces to him missing that he's trying to fill in through his adventure. He puts it all on the line for his friends. He's got a moral code that evolves over time, but he's also emotional to a fault in some people's eyes.
What makes him like kind of the ideal shonen protagonist?
He's got trauma.
My dad started off at the bottom.
Very bottom. Yep.
Very bottom, yes. Quirkless.
He is both the generic shonen protagonist, but also an elevation of all the tropes that make a shonen protagonist cool. But even older stuff like Dragon Ball gives us powerful moments for boys to aspire and relate to. And no, I'm not talking about the obnoxious main character that has the even more obnoxious fan base, but his more interesting rival, Vegeta. Vegeta starts the show as a very one-of-the-mill villain of the week character.
Vegeta's arc is fucking great. Vegeta goes from like genocidal maniac, right? Genocidal maniac to guy with a mustache wearing a pink shirt and he's a dad. It's just mental. Like, and he's just on the good side, and it's just like fucking hell.
Only existing for power and status, and ends the show, well, ends because the show like won't stop happening, as a tsundere family man living for his family. Tsundere is another trope. We're going to put
ultimate wife guy
right here. All right, here we go.
Dragon Ball Z was
Zod to dad bod
one for me, and that, but it wasn't Goku who I was able to really like see myself in, it was Vegeta. To me, Vegeta is like a genuinely fantastic character.
Yeah.
And I think his whole character arc, everything to do with him, it is about
this is, I think, like, Vegeta is really, really, like, underrated as, like, a guy that could probably, like, tell some of the worst men in the world that actually they could be good and loved, actually. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, don't listen to Andrew Tate, watch Dragon Ball Z the entire way through. You know, like, it is possible for you to use your strength and love deep within your heart to protect your friends, right? To protect your friends and your loved ones. It's just Piccolo as well. Piccolo. Dragon Ball Z is full of characters like that, right? Dragon Ball Z is full of characters like that. Like, Piccolo starts out as this, like, sort of well, he's technically Piccolo Jr., isn't he? Because there's Piccolo in Dragon Ball, right? But Dragon Ball is separate to Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball is Goku when he's grown up from Baby to like age 10 or something, right? And then Piccolo Piccolo is actually Gohan's dad more than Goku is. Right, that's the crazy thing, because Piccolo Jr. There's King Piccolo. That's what it is. Hey, Ravaging Marvel. Yeah, Demon King Piccolo, right? And then Piccolo Jr. So Demon King Piccolo is like the big bad, and he's going to kill everybody in the world, and he has all these other... It's actually really funny, because, you know, like, the characters in the Saiyans in Dragon Ball Z are called, like, you know, after vegetables, right? So Vegeta is like lettuce, and Nappa is like a cabbage, and Kakarot is a carrot, you know, all this stuff. But then, like, you know, the Nameks, and I don't know if this goes on to the Nameks on actual planet Namek. I can't remember in Dragon Ball Z, but they're all called like well, I don't even actually know. No. I don't think it's Nameks. I think it's just Piccolo and his little band of weirdos, because Piccolo has, like, a friend that's like a pterodactyl. Let me try and figure this out. Everyone in chat thinks I'm going completely mental now, but this is completely true. Demon King Piccolo. Demon King Piccolo and his gang. I don't know. His gang, he's got like a gang. Yeah, they're little gargoyle guys. I thought they were like pterodactyls or something. Dark Vassals, is that right? Oh man, I don't remember this. I watched this so long ago. But one of it. That's it. There is a pterodactyl guy. There is a pterodactyl guy. There we go. Yeah. So the little pterodactyl guy is called, like, Tambourine. So, like, a piccolo, if you don't know, is a little flute. It's a tiny little flute. You know, music knowledge moment. And and then there's like another guy called Drum. Hang on, I'm absolutely certain that there's just a character called Drum. Yep, I was right. I was thinking there's no way. But there is. There's a character called Drum. He's just called Drum. There he is. Wait a sec. There he is. There's Drum. You got Drum and a bunch of other guys. I think maybe Symbol. There's another guy called Symbol. This is nuts, man. I forgot all about this. Guy called Symbol, who's a pterodactyl guy. So, you know, you're led to believe they're kind of like Nameks, or Namekian, but they're not. But that's Demon King Piccolo. And yeah, like Skidada says, there was Piccolo Jr., and Piccolo Jr., was basically Kami or something like that. I can't quite remember. Because when Piccolo dies, he, like, throws up an egg, and that's Piccolo Jr. And then I think the same happens to Piccolo Jr., and that's Kami, but then Kami is like, I've got this demon inside of me, and then they split into two, and it's fucking... Anyway, Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball Z content. But Piccolo is great because Piccolo is a piece of shit, kills a bunch of people, and then he becomes Gohan's dad. Just like Gob says, right? So there you go. Anyway.
This societal idea of who you are meant to be.
Mental.
And eventually being able to let that go and realize that, look, you don't need to be the fucking biggest, strongest, baddest thing in the world because you're actually just okay with your wife and kid.
Right.
You know, and that has never stopped resonating with me.
Man, listen
Calling
up.
him a tsundere is oversimplifying the fact that he was himself never taught how to develop emotional bonds with others. And then suddenly over the course of the show, he has a wife and a son whom he is deeply connected to. And the moment where he realizes this is one of the most powerful moments in all of anime.
He was meant to be the chosen one. He was meant to be the one who beat
Chat, this whole time have we not had captions? I'm so fucking sorry. I had no idea.
Frieza. But every time
Sorry about that.
close to greatness, he failed, and then Goku or Goku's son succeeded. And so he's just full of fucking rage about this. You know, he gives in and he becomes evil and he beats Goku. He actually beats Goku. But then this monster that's like feeding off his energy called Boo awakens, and he realizes basically what his malice, what his like desire has kind of led to, and he sacrifices himself to take out this monster. And before he does that, he hugs his son for the first time ever, and it is
that's right.
Feek, I'll fucking cry. I'll fucking cry on camera right now. When I think of Vegeta's biggest moments, I don't think of the fight he wins. I think of the fact...
Can't contribute much because I watched DBZ in Spain and I was little. Fun fact, in the Basque version, Piccolo is called Small Satan. And then we also have Mr. Satan. And is Mr. Satan the same guy in fucking... that he is in, like, the Cell saga? Like, he's what's his name? Hercule Satan? It's so funny. I love that the names in Dragon Ball Z are so funny.
He is able to be gentle with his son for this one moment. And what a cataclysmic shift that is from the little shit-eating heel who stepped out of the spaceship in the Saiyan saga.
Probably one of my top 5 experiences in all of media consumption was watching the show.
Comedy strongman dude. Hey Maxime, how's it going?
This surreal mindfuck of a show had more to say about boyhood and growing up and like experiencing puberty than any generic Western versions of this same story combined in just 6 30-minute episodes.
Wait, what's this one, chat?
There's all kinds of stories about the fear of manhood and growing up in Western literature for boys, like Black Boy or Catcher in the Rye, and movies like Stand By Me or Fresh, but animation allows so much more to happen. So yeah, you can have symbolic stuff like, I don't know, Holden Caulfield's hat, or you can have a boy whose head is a portal to another dimension where monsters escape, but also a robot who can combine with the boy.
FLCL, pronounced Fooly Cooly.
But also every once in a while, the robot like pokes a finger out the boy's head.
Change you on a fundamental level.
Kind of looks like a dick. Like it's clearly a metaphor for, you know, that unwanted erection, reminding you maybe of that time.
Oh boy.
You're riding on the overcrowded bus, and this really cute upperclassman decided that she was going to sit on your lap because her friend was sitting across from you on the bus, and you were like super excited but also really embarrassed because you started getting a little too excited, and you're like praying to God that she doesn't notice what's happening. And this story is definitely not specific at all.
I'm with you, Marvel.
It is intentionally meant to speak just directly to your subconscious, to your id. It's not like, you know, it uses the medium of animation and a whole bunch of different very avant-garde directing choices to like sort of go over and under your heads at the same time, you know, both heads. Yeah, because like, you know, the main character is like in that very delicate fluctuation space. And I'll tell you, he's like at the cusp of puberty and he's scared of it. You're fucking 12 years old. You don't really know how the world works. There's bunch of stuff happening to your body and, you know, with the people around you that like you're only starting to understand. And like at the end of the day, you just got to swing the bat.
One of the best things I've read in years is a silent voice. It follows multiple complex characters with varying levels of issues and traumas, often from bullying and social ostracism. But also, some of these characters have themselves committed heinous acts of bullying. this story written by a female author humanizes that experience in a way that I really wasn't ready for when I started watching it. Because it gets into the nature of struggling socially, but also peels back the dynamics of bullying and in-group, out-group dynamics in a way that you really never see in any media aimed at children. Like in media for boys in America, bullies are one-note caricatures of how we often see them in our personal lives, which is completely devoid of complexity or humanity, because that's how bullying often feels when you're on the victim side of the equation. But this manga and the movie that followed it forced us to look at the bully as a protagonist, and we have to engage with the completely reasonable.
Oh my god, chat! I thought I was like getting ill again because it was getting so hot. I thought I was like getting a temperature, and I was like, oh no, the fatigue is back. But it's just really hot today. Is anyone else really fucking hot? I need to find out what fucking temperature it is.
Process to which he finds himself bullying a girl with a disability, and then how he deals with that guilt and shame.
24 degrees.
I could go on forever,
24.
literally forever, but you get the point. There's so much great stuff out there.
It came out of nowhere. I was like fucking, I was freezing the other day. It's hot here too. Chat, I was legitimately like Tuesday. I was sat here in the same place that I am now, where I'm feeling like a t-shirt is too much, and I had to put on like my fucking dressing gown because it was that cold. Like, what is happening? 30 degrees Celsius there? Fuck.
A little bit and adjust your sensibilities and open your mind to the idea that animation is more than just kids' cartoons and jiggle physics. So in this moment, I want to suggest that.
I feel like I've seen that one anime where the bullet like passes through the floppy tits, but I can't remember what it is.
Everybody, literally everyone who watches this video, that if you don't watch anime at all, you should try it out.
That's the goat right there.
Very, very problematic.
Fucking boy Bebop
Stuff in the medium. Yes, a lot of it is
41 degrees. Fuck.
You, but there's also
25 degrees. Okay.
Amazing things that you have missed out.
High School of the Dead. Right. Yeah.
A chance. So as I said earlier, I attended MomoCon 2023, and this video's editor Zatzman attended Anime North in Canada.
Hey, the Zatzman.
Around about what guys like about anime, and we got a lot of great answers, but there was one in particular that stuck out to me that I knew I was going to use for the video.
What do you think gets young men into anime?
I would say I feel like in my case, what got like young men into anime would be like looking for like a place to like belong.
Yeah.
Right.
And also kind of like it adds more personality than like what people think a stereotypical guy is like.
Right.
Like, you know, it's not just all like you have to be like a man, you know, and all that other stuff. And it kind of lets you like explore
what it means to be a person who is a man versus like a man first.
Anime sees boys. It sees where they are, and it sees where they want to go and travels with them along the way while offering a window into what the world might be for them. But at the same time, it's also a mirror into what they might be to the world. It makes boys feel powerful, but also dream and fantasize about said power and that image of boyhood growing into manhood. One thing all boys media tends to do is provide power fantasies for them to aspire to. And I think that power fantasy is a core ingredient to anime's appeal for young men. And I want to discuss why that's sometimes a good thing, but also sometimes very much not a good thing. In many male-led societies, even across cultural, racial, and historical lines, boys are socialized in very similar ways. They're taught to see strength and power as some of the highest ideals that they can pursue to become real men. But they're also, as boys, constantly reminded that their weakness and inability to perform true manhood at their age is a problem that they need to persistently be in the pursuit of fixing.
It's like around the age of like 7 or 8 that I first got like chinned. Do you know what I mean? And I always remember thinking like, fuck, what am I going to do the next time that happens? You know what I mean? I guess this is just how things start now. You know what I mean? The first time you ever get like punched in the face and fucking hell, like it's just crazy. Like that's like the age where people, you know, are fucking getting those kind of ideas. Kat says, I don't know, maybe I'm biased. I always felt Fooly Cooley had things to say about trans feminine teenagers too, but I think I need to think about how for a while. Yeah, for sure. Listen, like, here's the thing. To me, Berserk is a queer polyamorous love story. So to you, Fooly Cooley is a trans feminine coming of age story, right? For sure.
Sometimes,
you know, and there are so many people, like I said earlier on, they're just like, no, it isn't, no, it isn't, no, it isn't. It is to you what it is to you. Right? It is to you what it is to you.
The understanding that this is not a realistic expectation, that you are super powerful, that every female you meet is going to become secretly infatuated to you. I think that can be kind of a dangerous.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, literally.
Then it creates this expectation of like, well, society isn't like this. This isn't happening to me.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with me, or what's
wrong with society?
You know, and that's where like I just don't enjoy seeing power fantasies to that level. And I think that's like a reasonable, good way to live, the focus on getting good instead of being perceived as good.
I feel like the way we socialize boys is very
definitely PvP.
Be a strong man or boy to protect X so you can get Y, because people will think you're Z. You know what I'm saying? Versus like, be a strong boy because you're passionate about strength, because you have an emotional attachment to the feeling you get when you master something and improve something. And these are scientifically like proven realities about motivation, that it's that motivation that comes from within is innately more valuable and more predictive of like happiness and success than external motivation. And this is obviously somewhat of a paradox, and it's definitely probably not the healthiest tradition in how boys are socialized. The goal of that paradox is to instill in boys a drive to be constantly seeking power and status and strength as a means to prove themselves worthy of being regarded as men in their culture and communities. And it doesn't take much to see how this manifests in boys' behavior pretty much in any social situation. The competitiveness that you see—
Oh yeah, it's not even got started yet. We're only half an hour in. This video is great. Don't forget, everybody, go show some love to Feek. Absolute legend. I'm pretty sure that's the video. I'm pretty sure that's the link. Yeah. Got my brother to watch and enjoy anime, which he thought was cringe, by making him watch Cowboy Bebop. Boy, Bebop is the best. It is the best. I love it so much. I feel like this is continuing to highlight the importance of media literacy too, because we often hear of anime love from right-wing people. Well, yeah. This is why my whole second part of Berserk is going to be the most left-wing shit you've ever seen in your entire life. So, you know, stay tuned for that. Hit me up on Patreon. Give me money. Also, by the way, chat, streaming is my full-time job. It'd be really, really, really cool if we could get some donos in today, because, as I said, it's my full-time job. It helps me pay my bills, pay my rent, get my groceries, take myself out on little tiny dates, all that kind of stuff. So please consider subbing off Twitch using the sub off Twitch command in the chat. It's only, I would only ask you to do so if you're financially able to do so, and if I would only ask you to do so the same amount that you would get a sub on Twitch itself, which would be £5 or $5 or however much it is in your country of existence. So please consider that. If we hit £450 before the middle of the month, we'll be getting a double feature movie night where we're going to be watching the original Dungeons & Dragons film with Jeremy Irons, followed by the good one, I think. The good latest one, right? I think that's oh my god, Awesomeo with another 1312. Thank you so much for the 1312. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Really, really, really appreciate that. Please. Let's see some 1312s in the chat. Anyway. Can't remember what else I was going to say. Honor Among Thieves is so good. Everyone should watch it. A good D&D movie. Yeah, we're going to watch it if we get to £450 before the end of the month. And we'll be watching an extra movie in the Discord if we hit £450 before the middle of the month. So there you go. If we hit the £900 mark, I'll be doing a DJ stream dressed as a gnome. So you got that to look forward to as well. Anyway, let's go. Let's go.
Little boys especially is impossible to ignore. You can go into any group of boys around the world who are between the ages of like 5 and 10 and ask them who's the fastest and watch all of them raise their hands to proclaim that each one of them is somehow, in fact, the fastest boy in the world.
It's true.
Get them all to race each other to prove who truly is the fastest. And that's the other thing. Over time, as these boys get older, not only do they have to be constantly reminded of the distance between themselves and real men, the vast majority will also start to realize the difference between themselves and other boys in their same age bracket who more easily excel at these traditionally masculine endeavors. They start to notice what place they come in whenever these races happen.
Right.
And once a boy comes in last or near last enough time in these playground races, they'll stop raising their hand as much to even volunteer
It's a
to
boy
race
thing.
in the first place. And those boys might have to begin to grapple with their own shortcomings and inadequacy. I call this experience of processing the difference in distance that a boy might have between the ideal performance of masculinity and their own performance of masculinity, placebo marginal.
Tajan, thank you so much for the £3. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream.
And this is literally a term that I coined in my master's thesis. So for the first time in a while, now this isn't something I pulled out my ass, so to explain it a little more, I want to get back to my gender theory bag for a little bit. R.W. Connell and James Messerschmitt are two very iconic figures in the world of gender studies, and they wrote a paper called Hegemonic Masculinity, Rethinking the Concept. The short version of this paper is that Connell and Messerschmitt explain that there is an ideal or hegemonic form of masculinity that various societies and cultures expect all men in their society to pursue. This ideal may vary from culture to culture over time, but still represents a standard of behavior and performance from boys and men. And they also explain how deviation from this standard can lead to ostracism, punishment, maybe even violence, and that someone's masculinity in that regard might be marginalized or regarded as lesser due to factors such as race, disability, sexuality, economic status, etc. Connell and Messerschmitt identify the ideal of hegemonic masculinity as your typical image of the straight white male with all privileges that you might imagine intact. But they also argue that being the actual hegemonic ideal is pretty much impossible for any men, which is kind of the point. They're supposed to always be striving forward and never be satisfied in getting it, or the whole system kind of breaks down. I'm just a little grad school dropout, so please don't take what I'm saying here to be like the new gospel on masculinity, but I did argue in my thesis that this concept doesn't quite do enough to consider the experiences of boys and men who aren't traditionally seen as marginalized. For example, this theory might look at Will Smith and Chris Rock and see them as the same type of marginalized experience based solely on their race, but if you're thinking about it, that's just not good enough to truly analyze how both of these men experience masculinity. You can't just say that both of these men are black and not consider that Will Smith is 6'4", lighter skinned, and traditionally attractive, while Chris Rock is shorter, darker, skinnier, not traditionally attractive, and neuroatypical. If you compare Will Smith and Chris Rock through the years, you understand immediately that while both of these men definitely share experiences of blackness and maleness, their experiences performing masculinity are going to be very different based just on those features. This is not to say those other parts of their identities don't matter. They most definitely do. But what also matters is how gender is performed regardless of those other elements. Otherwise, we miss a lot of things about how men and boys experience the world. And this is why, although I greatly empathize with Will Smith's mindset before he slapped Chris Rock, I also completely agree with Chris Rock's opinion on why he was the one that got slapped and not August Alsina.
And who's he hit? Me. A nigga he know he could beat. That is some bitch ass shit.
Many boys will experience this sense of marginalization regardless, again, of their race or culture or background. And thus, the escapist power fantasy is very appealing to them. Now, in a perfect world, these boys will have a strong support system and good adult male figures to talk to about their issues and fears. And maybe if they want to watch an anime, they'll watch Fooly Cooley with all its visual metaphors and challenging messages and breathtaking animation. or they'll just be one of the several million people to watch power scaling videos. Because that's the thing, for all my gushing about the possibilities and greatness of anime, it's probably mainly a place for boys and young men to indulge in power fantasies, often to a fault. And to be clear, a power fantasy in and of itself is not a problem, but anime's unique elements combined with the types of boys and young men drawn to it can...
This is really fascinating to watch as a woman, to be honest. I'm learning a lot. One of the things that men could really do with doing more is just being very open about this stuff, right? Because we have a culture where, you know, not just women, right, who love men, but anyone who loves men, anyone who like dates men, so like me included, I sat there a lot of the time going like, men, why you like that, right? Why are you fucking like that, right? What happened? Why are you doing this? Why are you behaving that way, right? And it's like, you know, if there was a bit more honesty, if there was a bit more vulnerability, if there was a bit more sensitivity, then everybody would understand a lot better, right? How much the patriarchy truly hurts men as well, right? It hurts women way more, right? Way more. But it's literally it's painful. It's a painful, horrible, insidious poison of our world that we are like constantly told like that we need to be better and shit like that. You know, I was talking about this with right. It's also really interesting to like just sort of look at it. Yeah, I value my relationships with women so much. I'm very blessed that my week this week has been filled with like wonderful women, yeah, who, you know, I'm able to talk about these things with, and I'm able to like sort of share my disdain for dating men, and also like my disdain for the patriarchy and shit like that. So, you know, it's really, really, really important to like, thanks for the follow. It's really important to like, you know, just get that shit out there, right? Because a lot of the time, these vile, disgusting bastards like Andrew Tate will take advantage of that. They'll take advantage of that, the fact that we have, you know, this horrible relationship with masculinity, yeah? And they'll twist it and do everything they can to make you a misogynist. And in the meantime, make sure that you are giving them money. You're giving them £500 to sit in the you know, the war room and shit like that, you know, and all that fucking nonsense. So, you know, this is why it's important, right? You've openly spoke about your relationship with aggression before, and even as another guy, it's eye-opening and important to hear sometimes. Yeah, and for other men as well, because like men need to understand that like when other men are talking about toxic masculinity, we're not talking about masculinity, yeah? There's masculinity, and then there are toxic elements of it, right? You know, just in the way that there are behaviors, right? Behaviors, neutral, and then toxic behaviors, right? On top of that, you know, no one is saying that you have to like stop going to the gym and you have to stop, you know, fucking literally as soon as I fucking said that, Zach's right in there. Yeah, you lift, bro. You know, no one is saying that you have to stop going to the gym. No one is saying that you have to stop playing football. No one's saying you have to stop playing baseball or even remaining competitive in like a healthy way, right? It's about listening to those, you know, damaging behaviors, observing them within yourself and desperately trying to get rid of it. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't serve you, right? Not only does it not serve anyone around you, it doesn't serve you. Getting aggressive and getting angry, something that I've dealt with like a lot in my life, which is only really due to like the, you know, the forced toxic masculine archetypes that the you know, the system desperately tries to put on us, right? It's also down to like trauma, like, and a lot of guys go through trauma, you know. It's fucked. It's completely fucked. Hello, Chase Sadie. Welcome in. Right now, I'm trying to compute how I managed to dodge that be a man bullet. Like I went through the same idealized manhood shtick, but I don't think I ever cared enough. Buzzing. Good. That's great. That's great. Also, Zach is a great streamer, and you should all go follow him. If you like my streams, you'll love his streams because they're way better. There you go. You're not obliged to start baseball because the chances are you're the only person with a 100-mile radius that no one else wants to play baseball. Yeah, if you're in Europe, obviously. If you could abolish toxic masculinity or internalize liberalism, which would you pick? Why not both? I don't understand. I know you're being sarcastic. I'm not going to answer that. Why not both?
Not the healthiest combination. And to illustrate this, I'm going to go back to what's probably patient zero.
Oh, and Kat was saying in the chat, it was awesome to talk with you. Yeah, it's really, really good to speak with you. Yeah.
For me,
100%.
at least, in terms of like noticing this unhealthy combination, and talk about the character Kirito from Sword Art Online. This character in this show probably gets more hate than it deserves at this point, but is also a perfect example of some of anime's worst habits in depicting masculinity and power. Sword Art Online is what's called an isekai, which is a genre where the main character goes to a new world, and the main character themselves is often in the normal world, this downtrodden and bullied and loser figure, and they go to the new world, and through some mechanism of chance or luck, they become this near God tier figure, and all their dreams come true, and all the women want to have sex with them. So in real life, Kirito is some super hacker, gamer, computer genius guy. Just because. He gets stuck in an online video game with hundreds or maybe even thousands of other people, where if you die in the video game, you die in real life.
Is it sad that I like Sword Art Online? Yes, Johnny, you're going to be expelled from the circle of leftists for enjoying an anime. No, it's not. Fucking no, it's not. I don't know anything about Sword Art Online. You know? Isn't toxic masculinity just a form of internal liberalism? Liberalism is, we're talking about neoliberalism, right? Talking about neoliberal capital, individualist stuff. Yeah, okay, I guess so. It's okay to like bad things, Johnny, but it is a bad show. You're talking to a guy who watches Samurai Cop all the time. You know what I mean? I've watched Samurai Cop like 20 times in a row. Anyway, I understand why Zach was being Kappa face about that, because yeah, that makes sense. But this is the thing: you can't just attach liberalism to toxic masculinity like that, because toxic masculinity is a lot older than neoliberalism. So I think what Death and a Lovely Italian is saying is really important there as well. Like, I understand what you're saying. It's individualist in nature. It's based in like the same kind of field as neoliberalism, but like both. Like, no, because they're separate. They feed into each other, but they're separate. Toxic masculinity helps uphold capitalism in a lot of ways. But so does liberalism, and they're both two arms of the same beast, but they're also different arms of different beasts. Samurai Cop is too awful to enjoy for being bad. There's so bad it's good, and then there's so bad it's worse. You've not watched enough bad movies. If you genuinely think, well, listen, anyway, quality is subjective, and humor is subjective, but like, if you're saying that like Samurai Cop is one of those bad films where it's like it's so bad that it's like you can't even get any enjoyment from it, like you've not watched Things. You've also not watched, what was one that I watched recently? Mad Maxine. Oh, there are so many fucking movies out there that just like say nothing and do nothing, and they're not even funny. It's like painful to watch. It like give you a headache because there's nothing happening, and it's like you just basically like watching like moving images and you don't understand. Fucking hell, yeah. Holy shit.
So
Samurai Cop is funny as fucking hell. Some of the delivery in that film is amazing.
Himself to beating the game and freeing all the people.
The Jar is unwatchable. I've not watched The Jar, but I've heard of it.
He does with relative ease because Also, over the course of like the first 2 or 3 seasons of this show, pretty much every woman that spends more than 10 minutes with Kirito, including even his cousin slash sister, and this is treated with no sense of ick. That's definitely like one fair warning to anybody entering into anime. They got some icks there with the incest. I'm not gonna hold y'all on that. Like, if you struggled with the Lannisters in Game of Thrones, you really, really need to make sure you're like easing into your anime consumption. Why does every woman that meets Kirito fall in love with him, even though he has absolutely no personality? Just because, nigga, like that's how it works. On so many occasions, Kirito is met with the challenge that should present some interesting raised stakes or character development. And surely there's some cool moments to be had in watching him flex on people who don't know just how powerful he is. I won't say there's not entertainment to be had. I watched the whole first season for a reason, but there are ramifications for the type of messaging that this over-the-top, consequence-free power fantasy has on young boys who indulge in this type of power fantasy uncritically. You can imagine how a lot of boys would appreciate this formula, especially the types of boys drawn to anime, boys who are more likely to be overlooked and looked down upon, boys who feel that sense of marginalization I talked about. Because they cannot present to the world an image of masculinity that would be appreciated and respected. It's no wonder why so much anime stars these types of boys.
You know, like, I said this to my friend Pip today, right? When we were like complaining about men, moaning about men. Reset the counter, everyone. It's djmuel talks about David Lynch again, right? Reading David Lynch's memoirs is so funny because if you know anything about David Lynch and like what he looks like and like all this kind of stuff and the kind of guy that he is, you know, and you're reading this book and so in this book there are like, you know, 2 chapters in each chapter, if that makes sense. There are like 2 sub-chapters. So there's a chapter where like Christine McKenna, the person who wrote the book with him, is writing about David, right? And then Lynch himself sort of corrects it and like adds a little nuance to it in his chapter, yeah? In all of his chapters, he only really references how much he loved and loves these people. But in Christine's chapters, yeah, she talks about how much fucking pussy he got, man. That guy got an unbelievable amount of pussy. Like, insane amounts. And he's just a dork. He's just a fucking dork. Do you know what I mean? But the reason that people love him and it's not just like Christine McKenna is saying like, oh yeah, he got so much fucking sex, right? The women who loved him, like his ex-wives, his ex-girlfriends, ex-partners, all that, they all speak in the fucking book. They all did interviews and they said, oh yeah, he's great. What a great guy. Loved him so much. We had such a good time together. Like, blah, 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 blah. You know, and there's no boasting from him. He doesn't go into his chapters and be like, oh yeah, I fucked the shit out of her, bro. He's just like, yeah, I really loved her and I really had a good time with her. Now that is proof that you don't need to be a toxic piece of shit, narcissistic, angry, you know, build muscle in the gym nonsense in order to like be loved by women, right? You don't need to do any of that. It's just literally like, he's just a funny little dog. He's got a funny voice. You know, he dresses like a weirdo. He makes really fucking weird, violent films. Literally, she let me hit because I'm goofy. Literally, the fucking embodiment because of like, you know, nice deadlift, bro. She let me hit because I'm goofy, right? Literally, the living embodiment of that phrase. And, you know, the reason I'm saying that is because it's you know, these power fantasies where, like, men are like, yeah, you know, it would just be perfect if I was just this, like, really strong guy and, like, I could beat everybody up and I had all these powers and I was, like, really cool and just, like, wait. No. It's not what gets you laid. It's not. What gets you laid is being nice and having a fun time and being a fun guy to be around and being like, you know, pretty okay at sex and willing to learn, right? That's just what it is, you know, like, fuck me, man. It's not hard. It's not hard.
Discovering some type of amazing power through some contrived means, like
Foreign brought this up as well in a recent vid. Yeah.
Them to another world. And I wouldn't take such issues with these types of stories if, one, they weren't so abundant, and two, it weren't so obvious that a lot of boys don't quite get that this type of fantasy fulfillment shouldn't be taken that seriously. As I've been talking about power fantasies this whole time, I'm sure there's some people who might get defensive and say that nobody is so down bad that they don't fully get that these power fantasy stories shouldn't be aspired to. And to them, I say you don't understand young boys, nor the anime community, nor how media influences people.
I wouldn't even say young boys. I would say any guy. Like, you don't fucking get it. Like, you don't fucking get it. Like, good that you've managed to, like, alleviate yourself from that. Right, but there are a lot of guys out there that are just like they're poisoned. Like as soon as people realize that toxic masculinity is a poison and like what constitutes it and like the way our minds work, like you will start to despise the patriarchy as much as any woman. You will start to be the most feminist guy you've ever met in your entire life. I fucking promise you.
For example, consider the way that sex is depicted in pornography and how many young boys are exposed to porn well before they have their first sexual encounter.
Yep.
And without the understanding that porn is incredibly unrealistic, a lot of them allow their tastes and understandings about sex to be shaped by this over-the-top and often unrealistic erotic show. And this is not to say that porn is automatically bad, just like trashy anime isn't automatically bad. I love trashy anime and manga, and I know who Pinky is. But the reality of porn addiction is real, and while we don't have a clear...
That is a fucking throwback. Pinky. Oh my god. Chat, I used to be a bit of a porn connoisseur, right? I guess you could argue I still kind of am. But, you know, yeah, Pinky. Fuck, that's crazy. learning that you like watched similar porn to people you know or your friends is so weird. It's so weird sometimes. The important thing to not get laid is to not put it on a pedestal. Well, the important thing about getting laid, right? Exactly, yeah. I have no idea who that is. Well, I know who you are, Confero, and welcome to the stream. How are you doing?
One-to-one example about
Pinky's a porn actress.
Of these types of
She's a sex worker.
Negatively affecting boys. I still feel like we need to at least be critical and have a discussion about the possibility of how these types of shows can present a problem here. And the problem to me is this. Power fantasy characters like Kirito or Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins and others all have godlike levels of, keyword here, unearned power. Those characters are powerful just because power is cool. The concern here is what message that sends to young boys who are in that culturally journey to seek power. And through this, they're trying to formulate understandings of themselves as men. Does this contribute to a sense of entitlement? Does this contribute to a spirit of helplessness and despair when they can't experience the type of adoration and esteem that these characters have automatically? What message does it send that these characters seem so happy because of what this power provides to them?
I've said it in one video or another, but it sells this fantasy that you never, ever have to grow or change or improve yourself in any way. You just keep being you, saying fuck the haters. Eventually you'll be the coolest gamer and all the girls will fall on your dick. And it's a fear of growth and a fear of like acknowledging your own flaws, right? And a lot of these trash anime really, pander to that hard, right? There's this one this season that I'm just in the middle of writing a roast about. It's called, I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World and Became an Unparalleled in This One Too. Is at the start of the anime, two things about this guy. One, super nice guy who will, if he sees a bunch of guys outside a convenience store aggressively hitting on a lady who doesn't want to be hit on, he'll be the only one in the crowd who comes up and is like, hey, stop that. She clearly does not like that. Two, he's insanely fat and ugly, just the fattest, ugliest motherfucker there ever was. And his family, who are skinny and pretty, fucking hate him because he's so fat and ugly. He gets bullied. He has no friends because he's fat and ugly. It all comes back to him just being the fattest and ugliest. He punches a wall, and that shows him the isekai portal. So he goes through, and then he, gets these cheat weapons that let him kill a bunch of high-level monsters, and he levels up a whole bunch, and he goes to sleep. Next day he wakes up, he's tall, handsome, and skinny, and everybody claps.
Oh my god. Fuck me, dude. I said it, listen, we know about fat phobia on this channel, right? Do you know what I mean? Right? About like the absolute absurd body shaming that happens in our society, and the way that fat people are treated, all over the world. And but also, right, I was saying this to Pip today, right? Like, incels are one of the worst for this. Like, they perpetuate this fucking myth that like men cannot be ugly, right? It's completely insane. There are so many people who love ugly looking dudes. Like, this is like a genuine fact, right? Incels are sat there and they're terrified about like their facial proportions and shit like that. And I have literally been sat there like fucking, I can't even fucking remember now. I've completely lost the train of thought. Oh, yeah, listening to women say about like, oh, I saw this guy with this fucked up face, is like, his really pudgy nose and like, big eyes like really far apart, and I was fucking like, hell yeah. Yeah, look, ugly is subjective. That's exactly what it is, right? That's exactly what it is. And yes, Boot King, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. It feels like in Western culture, you have to be thin to have any value. Right, exactly. And hi, Rat Freak, how you doing? Hey, Husker Du, what's up? I thought an isekai is where a chatter wakes up one day and finds himself to be a hyper-successful Twitch streamer. There's probably an isekai about that. Yeah, it's probably an isekai about that. So yeah, this whole bit like, oh, he woke up thin and like not ugly, and everyone's really happy about that. Oh man, you gotta be fucking joking me, man.
Literally everybody claps. And here's the thing. That's a recurring motif as this story goes forward.
So that sounds funny. That sounds funny. Now I want to watch it.
I don't know.
Editing Bay FD here, and I feel like this is a good moment to interject something.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I hadn't addressed adequately in the video.
Hey DJ, what's going on?
Of depictions of sex and
playing Baldur's Gate, finding the goblins and half orcs and shit. Very hot. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Consent and women in anime. It's something I allude to. But I realized as I was watching this over and over, getting towards release, that it really needed more time than I gave it. But the video is already 90 minutes long and there's time constraints, so I just wanted to make sure I addressed it somewhat here before moving on. When I asked here just now, is it self-aware? I'm getting at like this overarching conflict in watching anime and watching things that are clearly problematic and lewd and edgy and, not appropriate for all audiences. There's a very fine line between self-aware and indulgent and maybe trashy elements in anime that I enjoy and think are okay.
Wait, what? It's like transphobic or what?
That exist in anime and thus in the anime community that are regressive and harmful and further contribute to the spreading of harmful ideologies and behavior in anime consumers.
Oh, hell yeah. Like fucking, oh my God.
This anime that we're just talking about is satirizing the issue of lookism and fat phobia with this absurd dynamic of being bad when fat and good when skinny. I'd maybe give it somewhat of a pass. But if it's just saying all your problems would go away if you weren't fat and ugly, well, that's a clearly different set of issues. And that line between self-aware and self-indulgent is where things get a little complex. And that goes for the problem with sex and sexuality and representation in anime as a whole, specifically in shonen anime. Thankfully, first and foremost, a great thing about anime,
yeah, me too, Kat,
touch on in the video, is that there is a huge community for girl-focused and driven content in anime, which offers clear alternatives to women's representation in this medium versus the more lewd, trashy, and shallow depictions of women that happen in shonen content. Aside from the ubiquitous Sailor Moon and the legendary Madoka Magica, I've also enjoyed stuff like Nana, Princess Jellyfish, Chihaya Fura, etc. But those shows are unfortunately not prominent in anime fandom, and thus there needs to be a conversation on the connection between this power fantasy problem for boys who like anime and what that does to images of women in these shows. It's not just that every female character falls in love with the protagonist, it's also the rampant casual sexual assault that happens for laughs in these shows. Fan service in anime isn't just a problem for how it hurts stories and distracts from good characters, it also contributes to misogyny and how boys learn to see and understand women, and don't get me started on the 1,000-year-old lollies. Sex is presented to boys and young men in these mediums as a commodity, one they get access to, as Mother Basements just put it, by being the coolest, raddest gamer, or whatever nonsense is said in some of these spaces. Or possibly worse, if not there to just be lewd and for casual assault and fan service, they serve as fodder for male character motivation, something that is insidiously woven through so much media aimed at boys and men. It's a problem that I want to at least make sure I acknowledge. This to make sure nobody mistakes where I'm coming from. Because even when done innocently, this contributes to a lot of misogyny that women in these spaces and in general experience. And it also hurts the boys themselves who consume this type of content because they never learn to just normally interact with women and girls, which in effect becomes this vicious cycle as they are often rejected from women's spaces because of their latent misogyny, which then leads them to being even more misogynistic. I don't think that lewd or trashy content doesn't have a right to exist, but as I stated earlier, there is no self-awareness of the line between reality and fantasy with so much of this type of content and its fan bases. I would love to live in a world where lewd and sexualized entertainment was respected and enjoyed responsibly, but we don't have that. What we have is a culture that will cry woke agenda whenever a female character takes up too much screen time or has too many clothes on, but the same community will Google Rule 34 images of that same character.
I think this segment sort of perfectly addresses that, right? No one who knows FD signifier is sat here going, I can't believe he's talking about anime and not calling it misogynist. He's definitely not a feminist. Like, no one's doing that, man. Relax.
I'm leaving a couple of videos in the description that I think better engage with this conversation. So please check.
I think like, you know, there are definitely so many people who've done, you know, content on how anime and manga is like extremely misogynist, you know, needless sexual assault, like, yeah, like it was so ridiculous, right? I was sat with one of my comrades who'd never been to my house before, from you know, like literally known him for a long time, and he came in and he noticed all my Berserk manga. And he goes, oh, what's that? And I said, oh, it's this manga. It's really good. I'm making a video about it. Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, it's not one of those ones where girls are raped by demons, is it? And I was like, it's kind of the one that like started all that. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like one of the worst ones for that specifically. It was just like, fuck, man, like that sucks. Like, yeah, it's definitely got that in there. All right, Kat, no worries. Thanks so much for being here. Take it easy. That's a common criticism of anime. I think a video like this fills an area less discussed. Right. Of course.
Out if you want more analysis on those issues, or just simply search.
Yeah, I got called out. Ground zero. It's kind of where all those like tropes come from, really. Berserk.
Thankfully, I'm just not maybe the person that needs to give the definitive statement on it. That's all on this for now, at least. Back to the video. I'm sure there's some examples of Kirito like training and working hard that I'm not familiar with, but for the most part, when we meet Kirito, he's powerful and we have no clue how he got that powerful other than him being the main character. And we see on many occasions that he's so powerful that he literally breaks the logic.
Oh, no. Look, there were definitely mangas and animes that did it before Berserk, specifically Violence Jack. And Kenshiro, right? Like, personally, Berserk does not make... Right, it's like Mr. Dank says, it doesn't fucking glorify that shit at all. You know, I personally have an issue with it, and I mentioned this in my video because it kind of uses the assault of Casca as, like, the whole sort of hinging point of revenge, and Casca's literally like well, I read her as queer, woman of color, right? So it's like problematic in that way, yeah. But I definitely wouldn't say that like Berserk has that in there in order to be like, yeah, look, boobies, right? Titties and boobies. Look, haha, you can look at that because it has that without assault, right? You know. It's not like Urotsu Kidoji, for example. I don't know what that is. But I feel like whenever I talk about this specifically, people always mention like one manga. And I'm like, what is that? And like everyone is like, don't read that. Don't read that. Don't read that.
Of the game and the show. And this happens for no other reason.
Is it that one?
And it's cool to happen in the story. And while this may titillate the power fantasy part of the brain, it sells short the boys watching it. It doesn't give them anything.
Right, it's taking the wrong lessons from works. Yeah, that's right.
Fantasy.
That's right.
And it really doesn't have to be this way because you can have both. Other examples of that same type of power fantasy done well can be found in Mob Psycho. Mob, the key character from Mob Psycho, is like Kirito, unimaginably powerful for no apparent reason. He's literally just born with the powers of an Esper. But the show spends most of its time deconstructing why this type of power is not so fulfilling and is
that's what I'm talking about. PvP, yeah.
Over the course of the show, Mob is enticed over and over to use his powers to fulfill his desires, but he over and over again shows that his desires can be fulfilled through other means. Specifically,
wait, was I muted when I said that? I just said that's what I mean. That's what I was trying to say. PvP, yeah.
Self-development and self-improvement.
Did I respond to Ravaging Marvel as well? I'm like fucking. I just muted. I muted to literally like cough, clear my throat, and ADHD. I got no memory of what I just said. No memory.
Kind of coded neurodivergent, and he struggles socially, and he's shy and really very naive, which makes him all the things that a lot of the type of boys that like this content might be. But instead of giving them the power fantasy of what if all of those things that are their challenges just disappeared because they were so powerful, the author deconstructs why that actually isn't a solution to the problem.
He's neurodivergent coded, like pretty heavily coded to be like somewhere on the autism spectrum.
Right.
He doesn't really like get social situations very well. He's also
no worries, Taejan. I don't know what's going on, but get well soon. Stay rested.
Those emotions are like
sending you lots of love.
To his power set because he's a psychic. Throughout the whole series, he's contending with different psychics who believe that having psychic powers makes them innately superior to other people. He strives to never use his powers on other people. He views his powers as, you know, just another trait, like being smart, being good with words, being athletic, that sort of thing. Throughout, you know, the whole series, he's like contending with different representations of like how somebody could use powers like his for evil. But then also a lot of it is spent just in high school, you know, dealing with high school problems. You know, he's got a crush on this girl he barely speaks to, which I think is really interesting because, you know, usually they put the love interest front and center and do like a will they, won't they thing. Right. But he's like too nervous to even speak to her most of the time. A lot of his growth through the series is just like learning to love himself enough that he can connect with other people and specifically have like a meaningful conversation with her.
Another example of something like this can be found in Dragon Ball Z. It's often lost in Goku's rather obnoxious fandom that Goku has always been a hard worker and that he works hard first and foremost for himself. The value and the power that Goku attains in the masses over the course of his show isn't explicitly for the desire to control and dominate others.
Right.
Which is how power is often depicted.
It's to protect others.
The value of power for Goku is that it provides him with a never-exhausting opportunity to better himself for the sole purpose of that bringing him joy. And
yeah, that too,
it does give him the ability to protect those that he loves and cares about. And I think this is ideal because it doesn't always look like this in shonen anime. Many shonen anime characters do definitely protect others with their powers, whether earned or unearned, which is
Demon
good.
Slayer moment.
But what has always bothered me is that so many of these stories present the concept of strength and power as valuable in and of itself. For example, going back to Mob Psycho, Mob has a little brother named Ritsu, and Ritsu is envious of his older brother's power and wants power just like him. The complex he develops from this envy makes him harm himself, makes him harm others, and puts himself in danger on multiple occasions. Then when he gets the power, it makes him reckless and make worse decisions. After all of that, having that power doesn't fix the problem he actually has. The problem for Ritsu wasn't a lack of power, it was a lack of processing the issue he has with his brother. And the show illustrates this, which is what makes it so good. But so many shows just have the main character get powerful and then all of their problems go away. In the shonen anime, you'll see these characters grow in terms of power, and it's the attainment of power that somehow resolves whatever problem that they face that spurred them to want to get stronger in the first place.
What that comes down to is a question of what kind of expectations does this character create? I wouldn't say I'm in love with Goku as a character or anything, and that I don't find him that interesting. But to me, what's cool about Goku isn't that he's strong, it's that he trains. You know,
I like that.
When I think of Goku, the first thing I think of is him doing backflips in the anti-gravity chamber on the way to Namek. And
I remember
moments like him turning Super Saiyan, they are powerful because of the path that has brought him there. So say you want to compare that to something like Sword Art Online. They have like in-world explanations for why Kirito is powerful. The appeal of the character is he's powerful. You know, the appeal is like he's right there, and like I know I'm gonna say that, and there's going to be a million people who are like, well, actually, it's this reason, this reason, this reason. But when you're watching Kirito, are you watching him learn to become powerful, or are you watching him become powerful? Which does he spend 90% of his time doing?
So you have all these shows where the main character is mentally, socially, or spiritually ostracized. They're victims of bullying. They're victims of abuse. They're orphans. They're ostracized from their communities and villages. And they say to these characters in the story, through the story's themes, that you know what'll automatically fix this? If you just get stronger.
Right.
And this is really bad. What a lot of these shows do is draw a through line between the pain and trauma that these main characters experience directly to how they attain power, if they go about attaining it through any effort at all. Somewhere along the line, it became cool for boys and men to be completely personified by the fact that they're in pain. I think it's tied to the fact that for men, certain emotions are taboo. Anger and lust are pretty much the only safe spaces for a lot of boys and men to funnel all of their emotions to. Being damaged in some way gives a man an excuse to be more than just an angry, fighting fuck monster. And so it makes sense that a lot of boys might feel like that's a safe way to explore other forms of emotionality. And a lot of boys don't. They see these power fantasies in the form of damaged bad boys. They see the way they're depicted. They see the way girls respond to them. And more importantly, they also often themselves have traumas that connect to them through the story. And they don't understand that these characters and archetypes aren't celebrations, they're warnings. Or at least I think that's what they're often supposed to be.
I also think, though, you need to weight it against the power fantasy, the whole thing, because the power fantasy is a huge part of shonen, you know?
Right.
And for the most part, I think that's fine. Sometimes, like when taken in totality, you can come across this idea that power is the overwhelming domination of your opposition. And to a point, that's true, but to a point, that's kind of tyranny. And in a way, it's like there's a gentleness missing from that.
To fully examine this, I'm going to discuss probably, to me, the biggest failure in all of media's recent history of depicting the damaged, broody hero archetype as being way too awesome for its own good and being completely misunderstood by a large chunk of the people consuming the media. This is a guy that I've hated on publicly multiple times and talked about in numerous pieces of content, but here's where I fully get into why I have a problem with this character in particular.
Yeah, Eren Yeager roast. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm fucking so here for this.
So let's go ahead and get ready to break down everyone's favorite sexy fascist icon.
Gotta drop on this flexing nigga. He from Tennessee. Stay for sure, baby. Let me know if you wanna eat. She like bomb. You already know. Just put your girl on please. I'm like cool.
But in order to do that, you need to get me to stay still while you transformed into a Titan and ate me alive.
I'm going to spend a lot of time shit-talking Eren, but also at the same time explaining that he's an incredibly cool and awesome character in most of the ways that he's presented.
Yeah, Yosiel, we don't do the boys thing here. We don't do the boys thing here. We don't call the chat boys because we got lots of not boys here. Okay. No, you're not in trouble. I know you didn't mean it like that, but none of that. No guys, no lads, no boys.
Which is really the main problem that I have with them. It makes it impossible to strike the appropriate balance between critique and admiration. Eren is a horrible person that does horrible things, but he looks so cool doing it. And his story and behavior is so entertaining and awesome that it leads a lot of people to unironically cling to this character's behavior despite the fact that he is awful in so many ways. So to balance this out, I've actually gotten the help of an expert to roast Eren as I talk about.
You could just say let's go or here we go. You don't even need to be like folks, peeps, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
About him. And I want to introduce
everybody. Yeah, I know you didn't do it that way. It's all good.
Hey, FD. So glad you're talking about the involuntary celibacy afflicted reanimated corpse of a TikTok e-boy from 2019. If this man was born today, he'd be wearing a Hot Topic 21 Pilots tee stretched over an awful black and white striped turtleneck, making thirst traps to Savage Gasp songs at his freshman year dorm. But all things considered, I'm glad that we get to wax philosophical over this exterminationist manic panic hair model. This man is 14 years old, tweaking off one Anthony Jeselnik special and half a chapter of Nietzsche. He's got that red play stupid games, win stupid prizes build. The first non-white man to truly embrace white.
I love Ro Ramden. I love Ro Ramden.
Winter. He's also compulsively down horrendous. It's in his DNA to be a horny failure. Sequence his genome and you'll find the zero play gene. Imagine getting family zoned by the only woman you love. Bummer. All right, back to you, FD.
Now, some might think I'm exaggerating by saying that Eren Yeager is a beloved character.
Stop it. I fucking love Ro Ramden. She is the best.
Compulsively down horrendous. It's in his DNA to be a horny failure. Sequence his genome and you'll find the zero play gene. Imagine getting family zoned by the only woman.
Sequence his genome, you'll find the zero play gene
you love. Bummer. All right, back to you, FD.
Now, some might think I'm exaggerating by saying that Eren Yeager is a beloved character and that nobody could possibly unironically find Eren Yeager good or his actions justified. And boy, are you lucky to live in such a wonderful fantasy world. While I would like to think that the majority of viewers of this show feel like Eren is bad for what he does, I've also seen 100 different videos of Eren Yeager Sigma grind set mixes, which I don't know if these are meant to be taken seriously, but I'm not taking any fucking chances with these kids.
Wait. Eren Yeager Sigma grind set compilation. I hope everyone here understands just how fucked up my my algorithm is on YouTube due to bringing you content. Attack on Titan Sigma Rule compilation. Sigma grind set Eren Yeager. Eren Yeager's Sigma male grind set. What the fuck are you talking? What is this? What is this?
私はこの地を恨みました。他の誰よりもエルディア人の根絶を願いました。もう嫌だ。自分が俺を殺してくれ。ですが、私は死にたくありません。
These real?
それは私がこの世に生まれてきてしまったからです。我々は国も人種も異なる者同士です。しかし強大な敵を前にした今こそ一つになる時なのです。だから今、死にたくない者は力を貸してほしい。どうか一緒に未来を生きてほしい。
I've not watched this far into the show, but like, what is that guy like the guy that does all the fascism in fucking Attack on Titan? Because that's like the big bit about this fucking thing, right? It's about like, it's literally just like Hitler porn, innit? Like that's what it is. Hey Kumatori, how's it going? Look, Mum, I made a YouTube video. This is made by like a 10-year-old kid, like a 10-year-old kid who has just like listened to a little bit of Andrew Tate, you know, and then like sort of like gone on Reddit for the first time and also loves Attack on Titan. Like, fuck me, man.
やっぱり俺はお前と同じだ。
どうか私と共に力を合わせてパラディ島の悪魔と戦ってほしい。
He's the current head of the family that betrayed the Eldians. That means nothing to me. That means nothing to me. I don't know what the fuck any of that means. Like, is he the Hitler guy or is he not? Like, what is it? Just say that. Willie Tiber. No, yeah, same gobs. Like I think I got to the bit with the, I don't want to spoil too much. I'm never gonna watch this. No, what? Hardly anyone in the chat watches this shit. It doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. Rule. What? This. Oh, please don't. I do want to finish it. Oh, okay. Pretty much a good guy, but tormented alpha is a good summary of him. What do you mean tormented alpha? What alpha? What? What do you mean alpha? What are you talking about? It doesn't matter anymore. I saw 2 episodes before deciding I didn't care. Rule number 1. Never give your enemy a chance to apologize to you who killed your family. 2. Never try to forget Sigma is always keep his eyes on you. What is this? What is this? What is this? It's literally made by a 10-year-old. I love that rule number 1 isn't a sentence. Don't you know what an alpha means? Like, I know what an alpha means in terms of like the fake thing that has no bearing on humans whatsoever or anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like a fake made up thing that says you're like top of the food chain, but that doesn't like fucking tormented alpha. Like, what, you just mean like a guy who is in charge? Is that what you mean? That's what you meant, right? Okay. It's not even fucking real for animals. Well, it's I think, I'm no biologist, whatever. What is it? Environmental animal studier, whatever that is. I'm not one of them, but I know that like the alpha thing came from wolves, and that was like completely incorrect, right? Yes, the term alpha has been repurposed to fit into this weird toxic male binary fantasy. Yeah. But even the term alpha doesn't quite describe correctly the behavior of the wolves that the person who created that term meant it to be. I think it's real in other animals. A few other animals. Like there are definitely like alpha like gorillas, for example, like a silverback gorilla. It came from imprisoned wolves. Hello, Mixed Tech. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, dominance theory. It's been disproven since. Yeah. Anthropologist. Well, I thought anthropologist is just the blah, 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 thingy of study of humans. No, anthropologist. Is that what that is? Are we going to talk about Omegaverse now? What's Omegaverse? What are you on about? What's any of that? Yeah, it was false and redone by the same researcher. Yeah, even the person who did the I'm gonna cough again. Even the oh my god, what am I even talking about? Oh yeah. It was the guy that came up with alpha. He went back and did the research and was like, actually, I was wrong. Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, Anthro is human. Yeah. Alpha will stay at the back of the pack to defend them all. The old fuck's about to die at the front. Like, quote unquote, alpha. Right. What is this? What's happening? What is this? People who was impressed by alpha, now they are scared against sigma. What is this? It's just made by these are funniest, but we gotta watch a bunch of these after the video, chat. We gotta watch a bunch of those after that.
All the controversial topics I've engaged on in this channel about racism, sexism, misogyny, trans issues, nobody comes through to argue about how wrong I am like Aaron Yeager fans.
Right, it's very
Please
contextual,
look
yeah.
through the comment section of every video I've done.
Omegaverse is a fan fiction thing? Okay.
Look at the messes I've started on Twitter, pointing up my critiques about this show. And
but you see, now that you've said don't worry about it, that says that I should be worried about it. Omegaverse, also known as ABO, an abbreviation for Alpha Beta Omega, is a subgenre of speculative erotic fiction and originally a subgenre of erotic / fan fiction. Its preeminence is that a dominance hierarchy exists in humans, which are divided into alpha, betas, and submissive omegas. Okay, all right. So that's where this comes from. Is that what it is? Okay. All right. We should watch Lindsay Ellis's two videos about Omegaverse. Oh yeah. This shit's like crack for me. This shit is like crack. It's the first thing that came up. Hey, Rohomild, what's going on? It's it literally just typed in Lindsay Ellis, and the first thing after it was Omegaverse. Omegaverse lawsuit. How a fanfic trope landed in federal court? Is that what that is? Oh my god.
See that I am not making this shit up. I also want to be clear that up until the very last chapter of this manga, I loved this story. It was the only anime in that decade-long period where I wasn't paying attention that I made sure to check for whenever something new was happening.
Feek in the fucking cosplay, in the Scouts uniform cosplay. That's funny as fuck.
I don't critique and talk about things that I don't find entertaining or really love on some level. And Attack on Titan fits into that category. But it is that last chapter of the manga and possibly the last section of the anime that hasn't happened yet that made me rethink the entirety of the show.
Pretty cool,
really
right?
Ruined it for me despite how much pleasure I pulled from it. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and also spoiler warning for the end of Attack on Titan.
All right. All right, Boot King, you heard the man. This is your 5 or 10 second warning. Yeah, see you later, man. I don't know when this is gonna be over. Like, probably to the end of the video. So I don't know. Maybe yeah, probably. Am I going to be streaming for much longer? What is it? 10 o'clock? I've been going for like nearly 3 hours. Yeah, probably. I'll probably watch maybe another video after this. I'll see how I feel. Anyway, check back in like half an hour. See if I'm still about. Maybe an hour. I don't know. But if I don't, thanks for being here. It's good to see you in the chat, mate. Hit me up. Send me a message.
At least in the manga, because God, I'm hoping
it's a short spoiler.
Someone in the anime says, maybe this will be the one time that we change what the author did for his own good. For those who don't know, Attack on Titan tells the story of the people of the island of Paradis known as the Eldians, and they live under this metaphysical scourge called the Titans, semi-sentient giants that roam their land and eat them for sport, like don't even digest them. The citizens of Paradis believe that they are the last.
Yeah, that's the thing is that Attack on Titan has some cool spooky shit, right? You know what I mean? Oh yeah, we could say spoilers over in the chat. Yeah, that's true. But like, the story in Attack on Titan up like this point here, like the scary horror shit, like the fact that it's like people get eaten but they don't even get digested, like that's the fucked up bit. Like when they're in like, it's after like the first proper attack where like the I think Eren, where Eren's about to get eaten and he realizes he's a Titan and all that. Or he does get eaten and he realizes he's a Titan. And they're like cleaning up the city after the Titans have all been killed and shit, and they find all the big like congealed mass of like dead people who've just like died inside the Titans. They just throw them up. It's like, fuck, that's fucking gross, dude. That's fucking scary as shit,
on Earth due to these titans, but over the course of the story that centers,
it does get dumber
Eren,
and dumber.
his close friends and an ensemble cast, they find out that the world is not what it seems. In accordance with my earlier point about trauma being a core element to the shonen protagonist, when we meet Eren, he is definitely a sufferer of trauma. In fact, if you like evaluate Eren's behavior as a kid, he's already kind of clearly emotionally imbalanced. He's a troubled child that's, I think, killed at least 2 people already.
Yeah.
Now, he killed these people in self-defense, although like, ugh.
Yeah, he goes.
All right.
He goes ham.
Understandable because he's living in a perpetual war zone. And then by the end of the first episode of the show, he witnesses his mother being eaten by one of the Titans. So he checks off all the lists for trauma that you might need. Later, he enlists in the military with the vow to kill all the Titans, which doesn't sound so bad in the moment because the first few seasons kind of teaches us that the Titans are soulless monsters without humanity and we shouldn't feel bad about them dying. We then watch Eren mostly bumble his way to success for the first third of the story.
Yeah, he fails upwards.
Being saved by contrivances that are only explained later, and on rare occasion earning a few W's through his own growth, which is nice. But then there's one of many big changes and reveals. First, the main characters who we meet as children go from fighting faceless, meaningless Titans to killing other humans, even at this point as teenagers. And then we learn even...
That's where I got up to, I think. And like the Beast Titan episode with like the weird Titan with the big head.
Bigger secrets, which changes the whole scope of the story. I won't give away too much, but certain events transpire that let us know that the world as we know it up until this point isn't what it seems. And as a result, Eren goes from your typical plucky shonen power fantasy protagonist to what on paper should obviously be presented as the villain of the story. He goes from being spirited and eager to stoic and cold and calculating and remorselessly murderous. He basically becomes Sephiroth, or the final boss of the Watchmen, or Thanos, or coming back to my Manosphere videos,
no way,
Evil Batman. And if you remember that video or know anything about those other characters just mentioned, then you know what I'm getting at with Eren. Eren decides that to solve his problems, to solve all the issues that he's faced up from the beginning of the story, and to save his friends, he's going to murder the rest of the world. Unlike all of these other characters,
What?
Thanos, kinda, Eren is completely successful. And the response to his success, the global genocide that killed nearly 80% of the world's population, is like unambiguous. People were
Wait, what? That actually happens? No way, dude. No fucking way. If I have even got close to this shit, it was already going downhill. It was already going downhill. But if I'd have even got fucking close to this shit, I would have been like, no, dude. Fucking, what is this, like, Malthusian fucking fascist shit? What is
not
this?
ambiguous at all, but like I think those people are just full of shit. Like it's clearly ambiguous, or there wouldn't be this much of an argument. I don't want to get into that particular argument because that's not what I'm talking about him for in this video. But for the sake of argument, I'll leave some videos in the description that go further into that issue. My real problem here isn't just that I found the ending to be problematic and concerning and on a lot of levels maybe even stupid. My problem and reason for talking about Eren once again is that he made this global genocide look cool in the process, and worst off, justified, at least to a portion of his fan base.
How do I describe Eren Yeager's vibe, right? The vibe is day one Supreme Job, V-Lone Soldier, babe fanny pack, yellow off-white belt, ironic Hagao, anime hoodie, freshman year fit pick, you know? This is the type of guy to log into GTA 5 roleplay just to be a cop. You know he lied to his friends about seeing Hero Brian because his stepfather didn't give him enough attention at home.
It is over and over that Eren is the villain at this point, and that the rest of the story becomes about stopping him from doing this evil plan. And I want to roll with this into my issue is that a lot of young boys and men and plenty of young ladies are too attached to the power fantasy that Eren represents to ever fully see him as the villain, to be fully critical of them and see him really for what he is, and to see what the author
I know what a Hagao is.
Was trying to do with his particular character in this story. Eren commits atrocity after atrocity after atrocity. Please understand, before the global genocide, he had done a lot of other fucked up shit. And as his presence and influence contributes to more violence and spreading of horrendous ideology.
You know what? I gotta watch it just because of how fucking stupid it gets now. That's fucked. I hate that I now have to finish Attack on Titan as well. Well, you know, look, it's come at a good time in my life. I'm still not quite recovered from my fatigue, so okay, cool. I'm gonna finish watching Attack on Titan, I guess. All right, but then I think I'll probably make myself feel good after that by watching Chainsaw Man, because I heard that Chainsaw Man is actually really good.
You'll still hear a lot of fans defend him, and this bothers me probably more than it should, because what I often hear when I hear these defenses is something along the lines of Eren had no choice, or what would you do if you were in his position? Now, I want to imagine that I'm hearing this stuff from younger people who identify with Eren's feelings of helplessness in a world that hates them and relate to both his pain as well as his overly simplistic us versus them mentality, which in their mind justifies his action. But I can't emphasize enough how awful the theme and underlying message of this character arc actually is, especially since people don't get that the character was supposed to be looked at a certain way. Eren is a victim of unimaginable trauma, and thus I empathize with why he is the way he is. But what Eren went through isn't unique in anime. Characters like Sasuke from Naruto or Lelouch v Britannia from Code Geass have similarly tragic backstories, and while they also commit heinous acts in the name of seeking power and revenge, they do something really important and much more valuable to viewers and readers of these types of stories. In between getting power, or in the process of trying to get power and revenge, they also heal, process, and unpack from the traumas that sent them to those extremes in the first place. They engage directly with their pain at various times in their stories, and in various moments reconcile with their trauma, often at critical moments when it's time for them to make a right decision or a wrong decision. In the last third, or I guess maybe half of the show, Eren is presented as this aloof, cold, calculating, unflappable,
Well, they even changed what he looks like so that he just looks like a full-on serial killer. Like, it's like, what? Did this fucking mangaka do this ironically? Like, what's going on? Like, doesn't look anything like what he did when he was growing up. You know? Crazy.
Remorseless killer that is singularly focused on a mission, and because he's singularly focused,
turn him into a psycho. Anime Charles Manson, right?
Anyone that's ever cared about him, and he does horrible things for the sole purpose to him of moving forward and being free. But the irony is that Eren was never free this entire time, and Eren clearly had the opportunity and choice to not do what he was doing, and he was too weak to do it. Eren in reality is an incredibly weak man who just happens to get control of a significant power. He talks all the time about freedom, but continually acts as if he has no free will. And while so many shonen characters define themselves through purpose and close relationships and taking care of the people close to them, Eren is defined by his trauma and pain and sacrifices all his close relationships to indulge in that trauma and puts his friends and peers in grave danger just so he can complete this asinine plan he has.
All right, I'm just riffing here. He had an iPod Classic loaded with Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park easily. He was really into bodybuilding, getting the bodybuilder physique in high school, and it made all of his classmates real uncomfortable seeing him all oiled up. Eren Yeager goes to unlisted Filthy Frank videos and comments about missing the old days. He definitely with a Dark Knight Joker profile picture and a bio that says, "If you're reading this, I triggered you." He's the keynote speaker at the Cornball Convention.
Coming back to the whole he didn't have a choice thing, first and foremost, I feel like he really did have a lot of different choices, but I also want to consider why that's such an attractive and appealing situation for his fan base. And probably the most important thing I want to say in this video, and bringing this whole tangent about unearned power for the sake of having it as a bad thing full circle. The reason why people keep saying Eren had no choice is because that is a really, really effective and desirable excuse. It gives Eren an excuse to not have agency in his own actions and decisions and absolves him of real responsibility for the horrible things he does. And this is really ironic to me because I'm often one who gets criticized for always wanting to talk about the effects of systemic barriers on people's behavior and how things like crime and addiction and economics and job opportunities are all greatly dictated, not as much by people's individual behavior, but by the opportunity structures that people get. No sane people that will come to me and talk about personal responsibility in real life will give the most excuses to Eren Yeager in a fantasy story for killing billions of people. To clear that up, I want people to understand that although systemic racism and systemic barriers are a thing, that does not change the fact that at an individual level...
I'm loving these transitions, by the way. I've not watched like a fucking, you know... Not watched an FD Signifier video in like a while, but this new shit where it's like fading in and out from the green background, that's really cool. I love that shit.
Every person.
Is it just me or are queer people the MVPs of dishing out platinum level burns? Right now, just be careful, Rojo Mile, because I understand what you're trying to do there. You know, you're trying to like assign, you know, something to queer people that is like positive and good and shit like that, but you know, it's not good to just be like, queer people are really good at that, you know what I mean? Just don't say shit like that, man.
Has choices that will either lead them to a worse situation or lead them to a better situation.
Like, what about Dave Rubin? You think Dave Rubin's good at dishing out platinum level burns? Just because you're queer doesn't mean shit. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't mean just because you're queer doesn't mean, you know, that there's anything good or positive about you. Like one of the huge failures that people have a lot of the time, and they seem to like don't understand it, is like stereotyping people based on their identity is just not good, even if it's positive, right? You know, like when people say like, oh, all Asians are good at maths. Yeah. Not positive. Not a positive thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, it's cool. I know you didn't think of that, but that's gonna upset people if you say shit like that. You know what I mean?
And as unfair as it might be at any given time,
I know you weren't doing it on purpose, you know what I mean?
But what we should be trying to do is give as many possible decisions for people to make instead of like 3 really shitty options, which makes people not care in the first place. And Eren Yeager had multiple non-shitty options compared to the one he picked. Eren made the decision that most reflected his experiences with trauma and then said he had no choice. And I think for his fans and defenders, this is the thing they like the most. One of the first things I realized working with kids is the lie in the phrase, I don't care. I can't remember the first time it fully set in, but on so many occasions, I would pull aside a kid who was struggling for whatever reason. Maybe it was their own bad behavior. Maybe they were going through something. Maybe they were just having a bad day. Maybe whatever I was teaching was too challenging. Whatever the reason is, some of these kids, you pull them aside, and the first things they want you to know is that they don't care. I don't care what's happening. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. And it's always a lie.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't care, they wouldn't bother to say that they don't care. The kids that upset me the most, that were the hardest to reach, were the ones that didn't even bother to have a conversation with me. When we go back to this embodied by pain concept with these characters, there's something truly freeing and powerful when you have a situation.
I've done it. We've all done it, chat. We've all been kids.
Alleviates any rationality or humanity in their decision making. When you don't have a choice, all of a sudden life seems very simple. Eren has a built-in excuse to not actually care about the results of his actions. And in that regard,
yeah, it's like, I'm a piece of shit. Horrible things happen to me. Horrible things happen to the people that I love. And that's why I'm a piece of shit. And I have no choice but to continue going on like that, you know?
maybe he is truly free. There's this moment towards the end of the story where he's watching kids get murdered because of his actions, and he presents this like crying pain face that he doesn't want it to happen. He doesn't stop. He doesn't stop doing what he's doing. His pain and trauma frees him from morality and empathy. Everything that should make him not just a man, but also like a human being goes out the door because his trauma is who he is.
This is fucked.
I want to be clear. I empathize with that. When you've went through something, some type of like world destroying trauma, the type of experience that makes you think you won't ever be the same again, that you won't ever have joy again, or just breathe again, or trust again. I don't have to imagine this. I know how that feels. It's this really appealing fantasy that maybe you just let the pain guide you to say, I don't have a choice. I don't have agency. I am driven by forces beyond my control that also just so happen to maybe be driving me to do the thing that is easiest to do in my time of pain, which is give up or give in. If you've been through something, you know what that feels like. But if you've been through something and you're watching this, then you also know what it feels like to get over something. And often that's the hardest part. I think it's because so many boys and men don't learn that it's okay to process and remove pain. When they see other men being like happy, you know, apart from that, it kind of pisses them off. There's a jealousy almost.
I would agree with you, but I think it's also when they see other men openly processing pain or openly coming to terms with pain, that pisses them off as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like they feel like we're breaking a rule that they're not allowed to break.
Like in terms of being a content creator my size, I'm treated okay for the most part, but there is definitely something in my disposition, in the way I speak, in the way I look, that makes a type of man angry. And I don't know. I have some idea to what it is, but I also just have no interest in putting effort into the problem.
But man, what if there was a legitimate reason to just cut loose? And what if it looked as cool as Eren Yeager looks in the process? What if the pain you go through wasn't just the random happenstance of the universe? What if it was something truly special that was meant to empower and guide you for the rest of your life? What if your pain in particular was actually special? What if it gave you power? Extra points if it looks as cool as Eren Yeager looks throughout most of this story. Man, that would be great if not for the fact that Eren Yeager is really the epitome of weakness and a facade of bravado.
You gotta sympathize with this guy's plight, sure, but I've seen my own mother be devoured by a Titan 4 or 5 times, and I haven't killed even one person, if you don't count that pedestrian. Eren's the type of guy to try a rat tail and play in a post-metal band that attracts a largely white supremacist skinhead audience. He'd overuse the dying rose emoji and really gun for XXXTentacion's legacy post-death, while also being very racist about other rap. He looks gayer than me, and I look very gay. If you're straight and you laughed at that, you're going to jail for life. That's all I got. Sorry. Nothing else.
And despite the ambiguity of other aspects of this story's morality, like one thing that pisses me off the most about Eren Yeager stands is that the author clearly shows to us in the very end who Eren Yeager truly is. In the last moments of the last chapter, they revert Eren back to being a little boy, and we see him crying and whining and confused about his behavior, taking absolutely no agency or responsibility, saying that he doesn't know why he did what he did. All that edgy, deluded, tough guy nonsense was not real. The truth is, Eren Yeager just gave up when he realized the truth of what was happening around him. And the irony is that for a section of the fan base, that last chapter was bad for a lot of different reasons. But for one portion of the fan base, they hated that they took the cool Chad Sigma Eren and turned him into the virgin, what do you all call it? The virgin cuck, much like older trash protagonists.
Wait, what is this? Has a German surname, tries to commit genocide, can't even sacrifice his crush's freedom for the greater good, would rather kill millions of innocent people. In the first seasons is pretty useless and gets kidnapped multiple times. He's actually a great character, but gets misunderstood by edgy teens. Couldn't do anything before he became a Titan. Becomes dove, crying. Wait, what? What? He becomes a dove?
Eren Yeager doesn't challenge his fans, he babies them. This time emotionally. Where the only reasonable behavior is this bizarre, absurdist, nihilistic edgelord act of looking cool and having no friends and not caring about your future, but also like doing everything you need to do to secure your future. This aloof, damaged man-child yapping about being a real man or being his own man through stoicism and not caring about other people because all he cares about.
Okay, chat. I know we're near the end of the video, but I gotta go to the toilet. I gotta pee. I gotta go pee. Everybody, don't forget to take your meds. Don't forget to look after yourself. Have a little stretch. Get up. Do all that stuff. Back in a tick. I'm back. All right, let's do it, chap. Hey, Gumbo, what's up?
Is the thing he wants to do, shouting over and over that the world is cold and you can only count on yourself. And then next thing you know, it'll be like the grind set thing again with primal workouts and Bitcoin. If Eren Yeager was real, he'd probably be on a panel with Andrew Tate. In fact, I think Eren Yeager is basically Sneeko. And as we see with Andrew Tate and Sneeko, our media has a really bad habit of making self-destructive, emotionally stunted, sociopathic men look cool and edgy and sexy. And in some cases in real life, these types of monsters are physically attractive, but to a T, those real life examples of self-indulgent edgelords are almost always fucking goofy dorks. Dorks that
I've never seen Tate. I've never seen Tate hit the monster can like that. That's funny as fuck. That's funny as fuck. I bet he thought that looked so cool in his head.
Edgelords are almost always fucking goofy dorks.
Like, yeah, okay, like he hit it. Yeah, cool, man. But it did not look cool.
Dorks that...
And also, what's that in aid of, man? What's that in aid of?
Just semi-well-adjusted people don't really want to be around. They're emotionally stunted humans who haven't
Is he dancing with a 3D printed gun and a cigar?
Or sadly, maybe just haven't had the opportunity to get their shit.
Yeah, this shit does not look cool, man. This is like the opposite of cool. This is the opposite of cool. You know, look, you can never tell. You can never ever tell. But Sneeko strikes me as so fucking gay. He strikes me as so queer. He is like deep in that closet, man. Deep in the closet. Like there is something about him that is like hitting on a connect level for me. It's like, yeah, I kind of remember a little bit of that, like, you know, desperately trying to be that like manly guy talking about like women, and you know what I mean. I never talked about women in the way he did, by the way, the way he does. Yeah, use a tennis ball so you don't get splashed with monster after you cut something with your katana, right? So deep in the closet, he's neighbors with Mr. Tumnus. I used to say a similar thing, Gumba Master, and I'm gonna bring it back. So deep in the closet, he's bumming Mr. Tumnus. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Together. Because even though I'm shit talking Andrew Tate and Sneeko, if you look at some videos I've done in the past, I've explained exactly how and why both of them ended up in the mind state that they're in. And I empathize with how hard it is to recover from any trauma. But I want to point out that if you are in the Aaron did nothing wrong train, if you're allowing the excuse of trauma to guide and define someone's bad behavior in perpetuity because they look cool, you may think you look like this, but you probably look more like this.
Yeah. Mr. Tumnus is a character in the Chronicles of Narnia.
Be asking, FD,
the satire, yeah.
Empathize with Aaron. I feel bad for him. He went through so much, and you don't get enough stories that depict that type of trauma into triumph. If you love boys so much, why would you tear down a character that they love so much when some of these boys have so few to connect with? And I'd see that as somewhat fair if I didn't think that there was a character in the same medium of anime who has all the parts and features that many think are cool in Aaron in a story.
Yes, I fucking love you, Feek. I fucking love you, dude.
Story that is much more meaningful and valuable for young men to engage with and aspire to. Often when we make these video essays, deconstructing, you know, problems of the world.
Thanks, Yosiel.
There's no like, easy, obvious solutions to talk about at the end of the video. But in this case, I got one. If you are an Eren Yeager fan who identifies with how Eren Yeager has allowed his pain to affect him, but also maybe wants to have more from that message, and maybe, God forbid, you're interested in stories about healing and growing, but you still want your edgy power fantasy as well, boy, do I have a character and story for you.
Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go, chat! Hell yeah! Berserk is fucking everything, man. Berserk is fucking everything.
Berserk started in 1989, and I was...
Jose?
Which means that unlike I imagine the vast majority of Berserk fans, I actually engaged with Berserk from the age range in which it was designed for and the time in which it actually lived.
No fucking way.
I re-engaged with the story multiple times growing up, even though up until recently I never was much of a fan and never took the story very seriously. But I also think that's an excellent part of the story because Berserk was written over the course of almost 40 years, which means that its author, the late Kentaro Miura, was forced to tell this story at various stages of his own growth, which means the story gets to reflect his lessons and growth as an individual and go from being this edgy thing at the beginning to one of the more meaningful mangas you'll ever read toward the end. I remember seeing Berserk a few times as a teen in my local comic book store and being immediately put off by the first few chapters of wonky art and overly edgy and seemingly pointless action. It wasn't until watching Super Eye Patch Wolf's video last year after the death of Kentaro Miura talking about Berserk that I actually decided to reread the whole thing as an adult, which I did over the last couple of months. And it was halfway through reading Berserk that the concept for this video came into view. I was watching Guts, the main character of the story, go through what he went through and learn what he learned in only the first third of the story. And it's something I want the video to focus on, that concept of healing more and how in their power fantasies, boys never get to think about the fact that the greatest power often comes or is shown through an individual's ability to heal from their traumas, not to.
The thing is that Guts is so Guts is not the best dude ever, right? He's not the best example of masculinity, because just like Feek says, there's like bits in the story that he's like quite misogynist and shit like that. There's all these little bits where he's just like a horrible piece of shit, and he lets his trauma run away with him to the point where he does hurt some of his friends, even people he loves. But he learns from that and he heals. He keeps healing, he keeps working, keeps trying to manage his pain and his trauma responses and stuff like that. Thank you for the follow, by the way. So, while he's not like the best version of a man that could exist, he's actually the best version of a man that could exist in the world that he exists in. Because he is like just so fucking destroyed and beaten and fucked up by the world, and he learns that he doesn't need to make him a piece of shit, and in fact, if he does that, he's no better than the people that hurt him. And there's obviously there's like not 11 minutes, like what is this, like 22 to, so like Feek's gonna talk about this for like 7 minutes. There's a whole lot more that you got to talk about. Oh shit, why have I still got the Be Right Back on? Chat, has that been there the whole time? No, surely not. Surely I've not just been sat here with Be Right Back on my fucking face the whole time. Anyway, there's so much more. It only just appeared. I was like, what the fuck is that? I don't even know where that came from. The OBS fucking freaking out. But there's so much more. There's so much more to talk about. There's so much more to talk about in terms of like not just Guts, but the story of Berserk and how that is about going, hang on a minute. Someone who hurt me was a fucking piece of shit, maybe because they got hurt. I'm not gonna be that. I'm not gonna let what they did to me make me that, right? It's just like the best. It's the best. It's the best fucking piece of media I've ever read in my entire life. It's fucking great.
Have the power to make the trauma go away or something. Much like Aaron, Guts goes through some real shit. I won't make it a contest, but I don't know if there was like a tragic backstory, like race with Guts, that Guts would be beaten by anyone. Mm-hmm. And much like Aaron later in his story, at the beginning of Guts' story, he's kind of a piece of shit. In fact, if my understanding of Kentaro Miura is right, Miura basically planned at the beginning of the story to just have all the coolest, edgiest things he could think of be thrown into his manga.
Yep, that's it. He had no plan.
Cruel, violent, reckless, uncaring. And he gives those classic edgelord speeches of, you shouldn't care about anything or anybody, you gotta do the hardest thing forever by yourself. And no,
even into like the first few volumes, there's like this moment where he meets this kid whose dad ends up being like an apostle, a demon, right? Who, like, in order to do that, well, I'm not going to spoil it because Berserk is just like, for me, every single story arc is like so important, so I'm not going to spoil it. But like even the minor characters stuff. This girl is fucked up because Guts has to kill her dad because he's an apostle, right? And you know, and she's so mad at him. She's so mad. She's like, "How could you do this? What the fuck? I can't believe this. Like, you've taken everything from me. I could just die." And he just goes, gives her a knife and goes, "Yeah, go on then, do it. You should do it. You should do it." Like, tries to say to her, "Yeah, you should do it. You should kill yourself because you've got nothing left." Do you know what I mean? He's not a likable guy. He's not a likable guy because at that point, not only had Kentaro Miura not worked out his character arc, but it worked so well to develop him and turn him into what he is, because when you look back at that stuff, it's like he had nothing left at that point. He had like everything taken from him, almost everything that you could take from someone, do you know what I mean? And he just had nothing. So it worked out really well in the end.
No One Cares and Sigma Grind Set, and I don't know what this song is, but like this song right here seems to be the Sigma Grind Set song. Like that's playing the whole first arc of Berserk.
Yeah.
And no shade to the late Kentaro Miura or any of the authors that make these edgelord stories, but I want to be clear. This looks cool to little ass boys only. All these stories about not caring and moving forward and never quitting and this, you know, platitudes about courage that aren't met with any type of rationality or logic or empathy or humanity. This is the type of shit that, you know, a little boy might think manhood is all about. Like, it should be obvious that I'm not a right-wing or conservative guy, and I don't hide that, right? But I guarantee you, if you ever need to find any commonality between me and your conservative uncle, or maybe any semi-respectable voice for masculinity from the other side of the political aisle, they will tell you that this fetishized caricature of male power as unbridled id and libido, absent of responsibility or sacrifice or empathy, is not at all the type of man that any young man or boy should aspire to be. And to his infinite credit, somewhere along the line, it seems that Miura realized this himself.
When he came up with Berserk first, he wanted the thing to be that defined Guts to be rage.
Yeah.
The story is called Berserk, you know? I think it was his desire to look into that anger and to explore why someone would feel like that is what led to this just tremendous depiction of pain, but then also recovery from that pain. Like, Miura did not have Berserk planned out when he started. He was on the journey as much as we were. You know, in very late interviews in life, he talked about how he didn't know how Berserk was going to end because he hasn't taken that journey with the characters yet.
Right.
Wow. And that's when things in the story of Berserk become amazing. Miura, who reportedly didn't have a plan for the greater story of Berserk when he started, set out to make sense of what would make such a man behave in this edgelord nihilistic way. So he created a deep, painful, yet joyful and beautiful backstory for Guts, starting from his birth under the worst possible circumstances to the cruel and abusive actions of his first father figure, and then shows Guts finding this chosen family, this friend group that for the first time in his entire hard life gives him warmth and meaning and even love. He gets so much security and life from these experiences with these amazing people that it finally gives him the strength to seek meaning for himself outside of fighting. And then right when he's finally starting to get the hang of being his own man, he has to watch all of these people die at the hands of a person he trusted. Everything that he's built up until that point is taken away from him. And as you might expect, this breaks Guts to his core. Much like Eren, at this point in Guts' story, he's lost everything and has a perfect excuse to act not as a man, but as an animal, and he does. The edgy boy we meet in the beginning is due to the drama of that person that we followed in that section of the story. So in the first arc after the Golden Age, which chronologically happens after the Black Swordsman Age, Guts returns to his makeshift home and is faced with the ramifications of his decisions to go on this revenge-fueled rampage where he acts like an edgelord.
Yeah.
And unlike Eren, who does not have to ever face the reality of what his decisions have wrought, Guts has to look into the eyes of the friends and peers he had left that he abandoned to indulge in his pain and trauma. One man in particular, the man that gives Guts his trademark giant sword.
Oh, this shit is like fucking so deep. And like Feek actually DM'd me with like a picture of one of the panels in this, and he said something along the lines of like, fuck. Fuck, man. When he was reading it.
Of this giant, inhumanly strong killing machine, looks in the face of Guts, the edgelord that can't be killed, and questions his manhood based off the principles that he failed to uphold.
Right.
Godot has like 2 one-page monologues, and I think that's one of them. And the other is him actually talking about the act of getting better at something and improving. I'm butchering it here, but I just kept trying to make the next hammer swing better than the one that came before it.
Yep.
And then I woke up an old man.
Yep.
So in terms
It's
of like
deep.
Berserk, that is such
It's
a
deep.
like powerful scene when Godot is talking about like, you fucked up, you went for vengeance, you went with rage, you went to destroy, rather than actually like not even protecting Casca, but just being there for her, being with the person you love. And it's so fucking sad because like the fact that they don't make it that big a deal, the fact that it's just this casual observation, I think brings it into this real realm of like, that could be your older brother, that could be your mom, that could be your dad.
That hammer talk, I wept when I first saw the vid. Yeah, well, it's true. It hits true for everybody, right? It hits true for anyone who has this, like, you know, it's that same kind of like Ferris Bueller, fucking Fred Durst, Limp Bizkit one lyric where it's like, you know, life's moving fast, you know, or, you know, you better stop and look around once in a while, otherwise it's over, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, if you're not focused on the things that really matter, if you're not focused on the things that truly, you know, give meaning to this world, then one day you'll wake up an old person on your deathbed, just waiting to die, and like, what was your life? What was it? Do you know what I mean? Crazy.
It's devastating. Like, it's genuinely devastating.
And the message here, at least to me, is that vengeance, violence, and being a lone wolf, that's the easy part.
Yes.
The hard part is living up to your promises and potential and growing despite what you've went through. And from that point on, something magical happens in this story. Guts changes. While his fighting style doesn't change, his reason for fighting does.
Yeah.
He never stops being affected by his pain and trauma, but he responds to it differently. And there's moments where he is shocked into reality that he went through something unspeakably horrifying and lost everything and everyone he ever loved. And then as he let go of that pain, he suddenly found himself something to love again.
Yeah.
And it's powerful and far more valuable for boys to aspire to that framework of healing and understanding that you don't have to be defined by your trauma than to be the edgy fascist boy with the abs that literally destroys the world. And
21 Pilots.
in between all of this, yes, all the ladies still want to bang him, and even a few of the guys. And it's still a great power fantasy watching him cut monsters in half with one swing of his giant, not at all phallic sword. And he still looks awesome. But the reader is both confronted.
There are so many dicks in Berserk. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so unbelievably ridiculous. Just so
with that
ridiculous.
awesomeness and with the reality of trauma and pain and how power can maybe make it easier to deal with those things, but it does not fix those things in isolation.
No.
And reading it just gave me hope, and it made me realize that we just don't talk about healing enough when we're talking about boys.
No.
We keep talking about boys being lost in this loneliness epidemic. We keep talking about the rise in suicide for men over the past few decades. And those are serious issues. But I'm reminded of the conversations I had with these boys at MomoCon. These boys were not lost. These boys were not alone. And maybe some of them are assholes when they take off the cosplay. I'm sure it's possible. But we have to remember to focus on the good things surrounding young men right now. And as many views as I know my next anti-manosphere video might get, it's more important to me that my other videos that talk a little more positively about these issues get more traction. And like, if you think about it, Luffy from One Piece is 100 times more popular than Meliodas, and boys aspire more to the hard work and dedication of Goku more than the bland self-indulgence of Kirito. And in his wildest, most matricidal future dreams, Eren Yeager couldn't hope to be worthy of polishing Guts' smallest sword.
It's true.
And I'm not alone in that thought. Like, shit is bad, but it's not that bad. And it doesn't have to be that bad. The badness of the situation that boys are in is not the whole of the situation. And the thing I love about anime is that it gives us examples of this. It gives us examples of boys going through shit and fighting through shit and growing stronger, not always for the sake of being stronger, but for the sake of being better and following their passions and achieving their dreams and taking care of their loved ones. I wish that anime avatars on Twitter didn't signal to me danger, but I know that when I meet a young man that is into anime, that there's good things that are gonna come out of that conversation. Because the joy that young men show in that space of loving anime, or probably anything that young boys get into, that is opportunity.
Yeah.
And what it takes from us is to like be focused on that as opposed to the things that are actually bad going on around them. Believing that boys are worthy of and expected to be good and joyful and loving and loved, as opposed to being feared and corrected and policed. In a way, I've spent so much of this video talking about the bad stuff to avoid the obvious, which is there's opportunity for goodness out there. Boys like anime because anime is awesome. And it provides them with aspirational images that are also awesome. And yes, maybe some titties every once in a while. That's all I got for this video, y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe and all of that. Please, please, please join my Patreon if you have it in you to join. Joining my Patreon allows me to keep making videos like this, keep upping my production quality, pay for editors that can do some of the cool stuff that I know that Zatzman is doing for this video.
I'm trapped, let me out.
Furthermore, please support today's sponsor, Skillshare. And
well, chap. Well. Hope you all enjoyed that. That was a great video. Yeah, I'm gonna call it here. It has been a fantastic stream, nonetheless. Even though it's been really fucking warm over here. Really not enjoyed just how warm it is. But I'll be back next week. We're gonna go and raid our sweet Sophie from Mars because she's doing one of her all-time classic liberal slop streams. So let's go and show her some love. Did that work? It did. It did. Okay. Cool. All right. Great. So thank you so much, honestly, everybody, for being here. It's been really cool. Thank you for all of the follows. I've had a bunch of follows today. Really appreciate that. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the donos. Thank you for the subs. I think I've had some subs today. I can't even fucking remember. But thank you just everybody for being here. If you've been watching this video over on the VOD channel, please give me a like, comment, and a subscribe. It really helps me out. And if you're in the Twitch chat and you can't handle just 1 or 2 or 3 days without your boy, I'm all over the socials. Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, Patreon, TikTok, and I got a VOD channel as well. So plenty of content for you to be checking out over there. I'm out. It's been a great week. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the support. Even if you've just been in the chat, even if you've been lurking, appreciate every single one of you. Mwah. Stay excellent to each other. Peace.